I bet most of you who came by has already experienced this. Imagine being a teenager who found a new video game series online and decided to play one of their entries for yourself. You end up loving it. Good news for you, the brand new entry is right around the corner. You played it and loved it. Oh, it has a follow-up? Hell yeah! The next thing you know, you come out as a different person. Tales of Xillia, yeah, I'm calling it Xillia and not Xillia, deal with it, was the game that was going to set the Tales series in a new direction. After completing Tales of Hearts, the producer Hideo Baba and team decided to work on the next entry. They wanted to be more appealing and reach a wider audience. With the series heading towards the PlayStation 3, it was time for an upgrade. Tales of Grace's F was also on the PS3, but was an import from the Wii, which was a Japan exclusive. No one cared about that game. Having played 2 of the games and watched a couple of Let's Plays, I was excited to see how the series would evolve from this game. Xillia was released in 2011 and finally localized in 2013. A perfect time for a pubescent kid like me who was growing more hair on my balls than anyone else. Gone with the fixed camera angles and bird eye view. Third person and behind the back is what draw people in these days. Forget world maps, that's for the days of old. Intimate interaction with the environment you're exploring is far more engaging. They even stick with this style in the new entries. Although I'm not going to lie, I do miss the grand scale of the world map to explore my curiosity and find out where I shouldn't be. The graphics definitely aged, but the art style remained consistent and fit the lighthearted moments and heavy themes very well. I remember getting the first day and being very excited, like rush home to snort some coke excited. Bamco really wanted to make this one stand out, not just for the series but for JRPGs. It features 2 playable main characters, Jude, an anime boy and the series' first female protagonist, Mila Maxwell. Nowadays, having a female lead is almost everywhere, just like people claiming they have depression. Hell, Final Fantasy 13 started to do the female thing, excluding 10-2 and I guess 6. Terra technically wasn't the main character. Mila was a big deal for fans, including me. Most of the heroines in these games are amazing, but how will you write your main character if they had tits? It's easy to fuck them up because they're either perfect or annoying. I usually prefer a male lead because it's easier for me to imagine myself in their shoes. I can do it with a female very easily, but something about being an everyman turned cool and badass is what I aspire to be. It also helps that I clearly have a dick. Have you ever felt lost in life and not know what you're supposed to do, watching people live their lives while you're trying to figure things out? Hell, you can be doing nothing and want to do nothing, and that alone makes you anxious. Or you have a goal and will stop at nothing to fulfill it, only to realize that no matter how hard you work, there's always going to be one problem after another and your goal is further and further away. Relaxing is a luxury and no longer the norm. So let's get into this shit. The world of Rieze Maxia. Humans and spirits have a symbiotic relationship where humans give their manas in exchange for light, magic arts, and keeping the world alive and healthy. The Lord of Spirits, Mila Maxwell, senses a disturbance in that relationship. She and the 4 great spirits she commands set out to fix nature's harmony. Then there's Jude Mathis, who's going to have his life changed so he can smack some ass. You can pick your main character and see things through their point of view. The story is fundamentally the same, you can still play the other character. It just adds some context to some of the scenes. I'm saying this right now, pick Jude first. Many people would have picked Mila because female protagonist. Holy shit, I was so lucky to choose Jude because I thought her campaign was going to be better. I dodged a huge bullet. I'll explain it later. Jude is a medical student who's studying to become a doctor in the endless story night of Fedmont. He's late for a meeting with his professor who's not important because he's going to die soon. He has to go to the research facility and ask Jude to cover for him. Jude is notified that the professor has been chosen for an award. He decided to go get him, not before taking 10 minutes to dress up for the upcoming adventure. Heading to the research facility, he's stopped by guards, telling him that the professor isn't there. Noticing something is up, he tries to find another way in. Fortunately for him, Mila steps in. Walk on water like Jesus and blow up the sewer gates. Just like any guy out there, he let his dick guide him and follows her. The two already have a rocky first encounter with Mila drowning Jude for opening his mouth. I mean, unlike the incels out there, he's actually attempting to talk to a girl. Mila goes on ahead and Jude also decides to move on. Later finds himself inside the facility. Entering one of the rooms, Jude finds his professor dying due to his mana being sucked out. This place is basically a meat farm, but for mana. We meet one of the villains of the game, Agria, the crazy pyro bitch. She wants to kill us. After getting our ass handed to us, Mila comes in to knock the bitch out. Jude insists on going with her because she's clearly a lot stronger than him. Skits are an integral part of this series' identity, something to keep people entertained in the middle of the journey. If you're missing context in the cutscenes, these conversations will fill you in. If not that, the characters are just going to talk about almost anything really. It's a real treat to watch the people you're enduring with having dialogue with one another, to express how they feel about the world, the current events, and even themselves. It really helps that this game has a fantastic voice cast. Mila finds the device she's looking for, the Lance of Kresnik. She summons the 4 great spirits to destroy it. The crazy pyro bitch is back and activates the lance. It's draining their mana. Mila trudges forward to take the key from the lance. The 4 sacrifice themselves so they can get away. Mila snatches the key, but both of them are pushed onto a collapsing bridge. She tries to summon them, but they're gone. Well, Jude, it's time for you to go on a life-changing adventure. This is where it all begins. This opening is so goddamn good. Ufotable just makes the best animations. With the track record of the Fate series and Demon Slayer, it truly brings a smile to my face to know that they are sticking with the Tales series. Like fuck, look at the movement, those particles, the color smears. It's so cool that Jude and Mila have exclusive animations. That's some dedication right there. Every time they show these animated cutscenes, it's always a treat. You know what sucks though? Not having eyes to watch this. Our dual protagonists managed to come out fine. They intended to part ways from here, but Mila is being attacked and doesn't know how to fight without the 4. With Jude being the good guy that he is, he helps her. He wants to get her out of the city, so he takes her to the Sea Haven. The two are suddenly stopped by guards. Mila resists arrest and makes her way onto a departing ship. Jude is paralyzed by the fact that his entire life is now changed. That's what happened when you break into a top secret research facility and assault people. A very dashing young man named Alvin comes in to save Jude. Hey, you're a fugitive now. It's best that we get out of here. Alvin grabs Jude and jumps 30 yards onto the ship. They're safe for now. Alvin is a mercenary who's only helping us out for cash. It's obvious that there's clearly way more to him. No dandy man dresses like that while running around with a great sword and a gun and says, hey, I also want to be public enemy number 1. Mila has a destination in mind, but she doesn't know how to wield a sword. You know what they say, there's no better teacher than experience. We finally get to talk about the combat. The double ray linear motion system, something you won't bother remembering. Characters perform actions by using assault counterpoints, AC for short. Standard attacks using arts, back, and front stepping. AC allows you to have the freedom to play however you want as long as you have the points to spend. In past games, you would need to gradually build up the rights to link arts together if you want to do cool combos. You can do it here from the start. If you want to spam Demon Fang, go ahead, build with scale so it encourages creativity. The defining feature of the combat is the link mechanic. You can link up with another character and you both gang up on the opponent and do crazy shit together. It really helps that they get behind the enemies and land critical hits. You see this meter on the left? That's the link meter. When the bar is filled, you can perform a link art. Use certain arts with certain characters, so when your character flashes, you pull the trigger and they perform a powerful team attack. If all 5 bars are filled up and you trigger a team attack, you're both going to overlap and now you're able to use link arts one after another. You can even switch partners to keep the assault going. Just don't be ashamed to go into the arts menu to remember what move actually links together. Each character has their own playstyle and a unique gimmick that aids you if you're linked with them. Jude is a rushdown boss killing machine. He's really fast and his arts combo together very smoothly. If he backsteps a target enemy right before their attack hits you, he'll teleport behind them and you can go ham from there. If he's your partner, he'll pick you up and heal you a little when you're down. It's okay, I guess. I never found him to be useful. He can also heal, but despite being a former medical student in the honors program, he's very bad at it. Mila is pretty damn complex. She's easy to pick up, but mastering her requires a lot of experimenting. Being really good with martial arts and spirit arts, her mechanic is spirit shifted. If you just tap a spirit art, she'll quickly throw it out. If she holds it, she'll start casting and turns it into a spell. I never knew how to properly implement it into my combos or when I should use it. Even taking her aerial combat into account is pretty overwhelming. Because of her high skill ceiling, it makes flexing with her so satisfying. If you're linked with her, she'll bind enemies and impede their movement. Some people actually get turned on from that. It's so useful on fast enemies and even on bosses. I just hate how random it feels most of the time. Like she'll only use it whenever she feels like it. Alvin's defining feature is his gun. He's the juggernaut of the team. If you hold down the art button, he can fuse his gun with his sword and it will enhance his next art. It's not necessary to use use, but it's fun if you want to string better combos together. It's very useful if you use it with Guardian Field. You can attack and heal at once. Annoyed by enemies blocking your attack, Alvin will break their defense and stun them. It's so useful. Be aware if you're playing co-op, you won't be able to use the support abilities. If you're linked with another player, the AI will take control. Good thing I have no friends who are interested in playing the games that I enjoy. After a day of hard work, Mila collapses due to her experienced hunger for the first time. Without the Great Four spirits taking care of her, she has to experience the limitation of the human body. With her being the Lord of Spirits, it's pretty adorable to watch her do normal human activities. Even something as simple as eating, sleeping, and even people watching. But her duty comes first. She decides to return to her village so she can summon the Great Four again. Both Jude and Alvin agrees to go with her. I mean, what else is Jude going to do? The three make their way into the quiet village of Hamel and decides to relax a little. That's cut short when they found out that the Rashikal army is after them. It's time to leave, but their exit is blocked by soldiers. We encounter our next party member, Elise Ludis, a 12-year-old child I trust the internet to be responsible with. She wants to help us out by using her weird plush to distract the guards. Then a giant man comes in and questions why she isn't locked inside the shed. That's something you don't blur out loud. He knocks out the soldiers and Elise runs off into the village as the giant man chases after her. Time for us to get out of here. We journey into the Kijara Sea Falls. The gang needs a rest, so the guys chill out. Mila is exploring and then falls into a trap. She's constrained by a stripper, one of the villains of the game, Pressa. I don't even know why she's dressed like that. She's patting down Mila. I should be turned on by this scene, but it's pretty embarrassing to recommend these games to people if characters like her exist. Hey, I like my pussies clean and sexy, but it detracts all tensions from any meaningful scene if I'm constantly staring at her figure. Alvin and Drew find Mila in her predicament and needs to figure out a way to save her. Drew tells Alvin to shoot at the giant rock, which is actually a monster. It knocks Pressa into the sea and now we have our first boss fight. Yeah, it's obviously easy. Feel free to use the link gauge all you want. We finally made it to Mila's village, near Akara. The people worship her. If you walk around the village as Mila, people will start bowing to you. Cool detail. Although the art style is nice, the visuals are weak. The assets loaded in can be really immersion breaking. Mila hair clipping through beds can be really silly, but I can let it slide. Fenmon Endless Night makes me wish a place like this was real. Perfect for someone who hates the sun. I grew really sick of the open fields and dungeon. They're actually a whole lot of nothing. Just running around until you get to your next destination, no puzzle to change the pace. Every game after this one kinda just threw the idea away. There aren't any landmarks that makes me go like, hey, that's the place with the fortress that's made out of wyvern bones. Areas starts to blend together, which becomes really bad in the sequel. Gotta get this out the way now. The music is okay, nothing memorable. I honestly don't like Mila's theme. I only really judge music by how catchy it is and how it makes me feel. I'm not really qualified to talk about instruments and music theory, so I'm not going to pretend to. The three of them headed to Mila's shrine and tried to summon the four great spirits, but she fails. We are introduced to Ivor, Mila's handmaid. I hate him because he's annoying as fuck. His obsession with Mila makes him jealous of Jude and he can't stand it. Even Mila, the lord that he serves, straight up tells him that. She constantly orders him to leave her group alone, but he just ignores her. I don't know why he was picked to serve this world version of God. They figure out that the four weren't killed. They were captured by the Lance. Even without their help, Mila is still determined to destroy that thing. She's heading to Fenmon again. Jude, with nowhere else to go, wants to help her. Alvin, he gets paid and leave. Just kidding, he's coming with us. We use one of the best features in gaming, fast travel, and head back to Hamel. We find the villagers throwing sticks and stones at a little girl. Jude stops them and checks up on her. These people are not happy and they want us to leave. Elise runs off. Jude goes after her while Mila and Alvin stays and asks what happened. He follows her into a shed.
Hi there. We've met once before, right?
Hey! Oops! Clumsy little guy, aren't ya?
This is Tipo. He won't hurt you.
And this is Ellie, but you should call her Elise. Nice to meet ya.
Nice to meet you too. Both of you.
Elise is a shy girl who has a lot to learn about the world and herself, but she can't do that in an environment where everyone hates her and a giant telling her that she shouldn't leave the shed. Tipo is her companion and you would think he'd be annoying, but he's actually awesome.
Everyone, thank you for trying to find my family.
Don't worry about it.
That's what friends are for.
That's so nice, and so unlike you.
Unable to leave her alone, Jude decides to bring her along. Mila is reluctant, she will only get in the way, but if Jude takes responsibility for her, then it's all good. The gang gets on the ship and departs for Rashikal. Walking along the road, there's a military checkpoint. Well, time to take a detour. Let's head into the woods that will probably get us killed. Oh hey, a tree. Oh fuck! Elise quickly heals us and it turns out that she's gifted in spirit arts. She is the black and white mage. Her AoE healing is amazing and essential in every boss fight. Her offensive arts is very spammable. Negative Gate and Dark Visitor for days. Her gimmick is toggling Tipo on and off of her. You push the L3 button but for some reason it's very clunky. I have to push it a few times for it to work. If Tipo is on her, her spirits and healing arts is better. If off, her martial arts is better. I don't want my squishy mage to be in the front lines. Sometimes the AI is very stupid and runs up to the enemy when I clearly want them to stay back. Hell, sometimes she takes Tipo off when I switch to her to put it on. Thankfully, she has a skill to get Tipo to stay on. When linked with her, she drains the enemy HP and TP and gives it to you. It's so helpful for the early and mid game. You know what they say, sharing is caring. Each time you level up, you get GP and you can use that to spend on the Lilium orbs. Upgrade your stats and gain new arts and skills. It's a more simplified version of the sphere grid from Final Fantasy X. In fact, it's too simple and boring. You can manually upgrade your characters yourself, but it takes too long, so I just end up using auto leveling. I did just fine. I really do like hoarding GP and watch my party get a power spike. Skills are what changes your character. Add resistances, more AC, give Mila aerial mobility, Alvin more charges, permanently get Tipo to stay on Elise. If you see this symbol, that means Link characters will be affected too, whether that be stats, resistance, or even getting new character attributes. It's a lot of management, but it's a lot of fun to decide on what's best for your characters and team comp. You make your way through the woods and are surrounded by wolves. The person commanding them is Zhao. He wants to take Elise back and lock her in his basement again. I swear he's not as creepy as I make him out to be. The team refuses to give her up. Alvin unloads his bullets onto a tree and triggers smoke shrooms for them to get away. A lot of problems are solved with his gun. The gang made it to Sherrilton. Checking out the stands while Mila flexes her knowledge on spirits, we encounter Rowan and his mistress Dressel. After getting them a discount on some cups, we are invited to her mansion. Who knew being friends with the wealthy can be so easy? While having a tea party, Alvin leaves and snitches on us to Dressel's brother, Klein, who is the governor. Don't worry, he's not going to turn us in. Noctical, the king of Rashikal, is actually performing human experiments to drain their mana to power up the Lance of Kresnik. It's not a real story while some crazy people doing that kind of shady work. Alvin shows signs that he's a backstabbing jerk, because he is, but his charisma and handsome face makes him forgivable. Well, it's time to go commit regicide. Rowan asks us to stop Noctical because he's an asshole and save Klein, who was drafted to be a test subject. Rowan joins the team and he's a badass. Like most old men in JRPGs, he uses his life experience to guide the young instead of telling them that when he was their age, he managed to live off of canned beads and invest in real estate while punching babies in the face every single day. Despite having a sword, he's actually a spellcaster. He can use different types of spells and elements and they are fun to use. Although I like playing mages in past games, they mostly consist of waiting around while casting their attack. Rinse and repeat. Rowan, he's more active. Depending on what spell you cast, he can add more hits if you push the prompted button. Some active spells can be moved around, so that's nice. Just make sure once he gets stronger spells, you turn off the weaker ones. When linked, he shows both of you from spirit art. It's so goddamn helpful, especially since you can link to him if you're stuck in the middle of someone else's spell. As long as he's not stunned, it's a get out of jail free card. Although there's many pros to linking, no one ever talks about the negatives. If you take damage, they take damage. If you or your partner just got affected by status elements, both of you now got it. It doesn't matter how far you are from them, you share the pain together, and it can be game ending. Paralysis is annoying because your character will randomly not act. Getting your arts and skills sealed is really bad for the healers. Confusion will make your characters go apeshit. Luckily, Elise can prevent future status elements, and trust me, you'll always want her to prevent those. It's very important to know when to unlink so one person gets hit instead of two. I'm embarrassed to say that I had to learn that lesson in the second game. The gang made their way into a cave they found in the gorge, but it's sealed off by a spell. That means we go in from the top. It's a secret lab that held people captive to have their mana extracted. I hate enemies that can fly. They have stupid hurt boxes. In fact, ever since I got into this series, I started to hate birds. Even in real life, they just keep shitting on my car. It's more preferable to play Mila in these type of encounters. She has the best aerial game. We get everyone back safely and Klein is all good now. Mila insists we keep moving on, but we have to go through one of Rashikal's fortresses if we want to get to Fenmon. She just says, we'll just fight our way through. Lacking common sense and any safety procedure is one of her best qualities. Klein offers to sneak us in with his spies. I like the first option better, but sure. Before we go on our way, it's time for the girls to go shopping. Klein does not like the way King Noctical has been doing things, like using his people and being evil. It's time for us to unite and take him down, and he's been shot. Noctical sent an assassin to take him out. Jude tried to heal him, but to no avail. It looks like he's been declined. The three girls were out shopping and then the Rashikal army attacked. Noctical right-hand man Gillen orders the troop to capture the three. Despite me kicking their ass, the girls were overwhelmed and taken away. The guys could do nothing but watch. They had to recuperate and make their way into the fortress to save them. Already having spies inside, they were let in. Mila, Elise, and Dressel are not doing so well. They are locked inside a cell and Gillen demands for Mila to return the key to the lands. Obviously, she's like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. So what happened next is that they attach an ankle bracelet to us and give us a demonstration. If you pass through these hex zones, you'll blow up. They even threatened to push Elise in.
Your threats are meaningless to me, human. I have no fear of death, or injury, or loss. Go ahead and push me through. Push us all through. Maybe then you'll see I'm not kidding.
Jesus fucking Christ! Not only is this scene messed up, but she has no consideration for anyone, not even herself. What comes next is pretty silly. The villain leaves the room and Mila manages to trick one of the henchmen and threatens to kill them. Now the three of them are good. That kinda killed the tension. They have to make their way out, but Elise cannot fight without Tipo and we can't get past the hex zones. They only briefly talked about how Mila was willing to sacrifice children, but she just brushes it off and said her duty to protect the world comes first. Kinda wish the characters would give her or really any flack for her decision. At this point, only Jude and Mila know that she's Maxwell, so her talking about saving the world sounds ludicrous if you don't know who she is. The girls found Tipo and break their way into a lab to take him back. The man enters the room as King Noctical himself. Yeah, he's evil. He wants to use the Lance of Kresnik to take over the world. There's really not much to say about him. Mila swings at him, but he blocks the attack and knocks her away. Jude and the other comes into the rescue. To justify Rowan's role in the story, he used to be an amazing strategist for the Rashikal army, but left when the king went mad. He's a Rowan villain instead of Mila's. He just decides to leave. Mila is not finished with him and gives chase as the door shuts behind her. Jude and the others need to get to Mila quickly. They have to use their manner to force open the door and remove the shackles. Mila caught up with Noctical, but she's behind the hex zone. What happened next is pretty wild. She runs through the hex zone, dodges the explosion, lands a hit on the king, but a backup explosion directly hits her soon after. Refusing to go down, she still charges at him with burnt legs and a third explosion hits her. Apparently, she's so fast, a homing missile can't hit her. Even though one did, she tanks it and jumps at him like a leopard. Get hit again, just for her to still be alive and her legs still intact. Damn, that's some tenacity. Jude and the others are too late. They need to get out of there quickly. They all made it back to the mansion, clearly distressed. After some time, Mila has begun feeling better. Jude is gonna let everyone know. Elvin is like, that's really cool. By the way, I have a new employer and I'm leaving you guys. Oh, goodbye, handsome. We'll see you in an hour. We soon discover some terrible news. Mila has lost the use of her legs. Even after all that, she still needs to keep going. Jude tries to convince her that she can't do this anymore.
You don't have any strength left. You can't even walk, let alone wield a sword. You have to accept reality.
Jude, do you remember the people of Hamil?
Huh?
They were forced into a situation they didn't choose, and they didn't have the strength to fight against it.
Well, yeah, maybe things would have turned out differently for them if they were stronger.
So what is strength exactly? Is it something you wield to fend off attackers? Is it something you use to control the four great spirits? Is it something that lets you walk on your own two legs? It's none of those things. Not real strength.
You just won't give up, will you?
I can't give up. My mission won't let me. I must keep moving forward.
Even if your body won't move at all?
That's who I am.
Mila's determination and drive is pretty inspiring, even if it does sound unreasonable. You probably know this by now, but it sounds like she has a list. I had to look into this and it turns out it's an audio issue and not the voice actress. I wouldn't mind if she had one. I think the Lord Spirits having a speech impediment is kinda cute and distinct. I mean, listen to me. I sound like an idiot who purposely refused to attend speech therapy. I can't properly read the script without stuttering. Jude has been contemplating and tells Mila that he has a plan to cure her legs. They're off to Jude's hometown. Elise and Rowan will be standing behind and helping out Giselle, who is just an irrelevant character. Now, it's just Jude who's going to do all the fighting. It's nice to see our dual protagonist having some one-on-one time. It's pretty obvious that he likes her. Even though she's stubborn and come off as cold, she has a soft spot for Jude. Having a human vessel doesn't mean she entirely understands human emotion, but she starts to understand it. Baby steps, you know? They eventually lose the horse and Jude has to carry her on his back. Glad they didn't do that "I'm embarrassed that I can feel your tits on my back" trope. I do want to point out that one of the skits have a portrait of her standing. Just thought that was funny. We made it to the Sea Haven, and guess who shows up? Annoying ass Ivor. He blames Jude for what happened to her, so I just kick his ass to shut his mouth. Mila's just crawling away. I am not dealing with this kid nonsense. She gives Ivor the key to the lance to keep safe. Honestly, bad call considering that he doesn't listen to a word of the woman he serves. We finally made it to Jude's hometown.
Faster! Faster! Let's burn rubber! Go! Go!
Huh?
Oh! Roadblock! Stop! Ah! You're right! Slower! Go slower!
Say hello to our next party member, Leia, Jude's childhood friend and a nurse assistant. As you can see, she's very energetic, livening up the party the most with her outgoing personality. Some people would find her annoying, but underneath all that hype is a sweet, sensitive girl who cares about her friends and wants to protect Jude. Because girls like him, and that makes her a little jealous.
Listen, you're gonna talk and you're gonna tell me everything. You have 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8...
Well, there was a nurse at the school named Prin who was always really nice to me. But on the day I went to see my professor, I got attacked by a girl in red clothes. So then I couldn't go back to the school anymore. Although that did result in me meeting Mila. Oh, and in terms of other friends, I met this girl named Elise.
Fine, I got it. Message received loud and clear. You met all sorts of other girls while you were away. Good job, Jude. I'm so happy for you.
I see you haven't changed a bit.
They bring Mila to Jude's parents' clinic. He and his dad don't have the best relationship. Most kids can relate to him. Jude's dad refuses to help Mila due to the procedure being incredibly painful. So painful, people rather stay paralyzed than to endure the agony. People cut stings like a bitch, but I don't want to know what getting laser surgery is like without being under anesthesia. Alright, I'll just do this myself then. They hook up the device to Mila, but the stone is out of mana. We gotta go into the mines and get a new one. Leia joins us and she's the support thief Valkyrie character. Leia's primary role is single target healing and giving buffs. I mean, it's alright, at least AoE healing is going to be the best, and buffs barely have any effects in battle. When linked to her, she steals items from downed enemies. I honestly don't like stealing mechanics in JRPGs. The idea of missing exclusive items that you can only get from bosses just don't sit right with me. To be honest, she's the worst out of all the partner links. Leia's combat ability is pretty good. She has decent ground game, but when she lifts her opponent to the sky, juggling enemies is so much fun. There's even skills that complement her aerial game. The problem is that the AI will never fully utilize that. It is really up to the player to see her potential. Her unique trait is honestly underwhelming. When she dodges an enemy attack, her staff grows. That's really about it. I like to think of it like my penis. Her martial arts are already close range attacks, so it barely adds anything. I don't like the activation, waiting for the enemy to attack is pace killing. I think it would have been better if they reward you for being aggressive. Like the higher the hit combo, the longer it stays out. She is not as bad as I make her out to be. It's just she requires a lot of time to learn if you want to get her combos down. If you're using her, your only reliable healer would be Elise. Like I said, stealing is not necessary because I love this game shop system. Exploring the world is boring, but you can collect materials to donate to the shops to level it up. There's different types of materials. Only donate to shops that give bonuses, otherwise it'd just be a waste. By leveling these shops, you can get new equipments and items. They'll even put older items at a discount. Honestly, I only really level up the armor and weapons and a little bit of the item shop because that's the most important ones. You get to decide if you want to buy the equipment now, wait till you donate more to make it cheaper, or level it up a bit further so you can buy a pair of gauntlet that will give Jude a power spike. The decision making is my favorite part about the system. The three made it into the deep parts of the mine. There's a monster that has a rock that they need. After defeating it, it conveniently drops the perfect shape that fits the device. Oh no, it's not down yet. Knocking them away, the two are in trouble. Mila crawls over to the fossil and attaches it to the device. Now she can fight. I hate this boss. Diglett already used Dig and that's annoying. The thing uses it like 3 times in a row. Waiting is the hardest part when it comes to fast-paced action games. After defeating it, it's time to head back. Jude's mother is glad that he's safe, but his dad slaps him. Hey, I actually did something. Hit me again, I'll make you regret it. Mila defends Jude and it's time for her physical therapy. Weeks has passed and she's getting better. Looks like Elise and Rowan are here. The butler is taking a vacation and the little girl knows that the party needs a dedicated dark healer. Mila finally tells them that she is Maxwell. Destroying the lands of Krusnik is her mission because Spyrexes are a plague to the world. Spyrexes are man-made device that kills spirits whenever they're used. Without spirits, the world will wither and die. Think of it like changing the oil in your car, but some Middle Eastern kid has to be killed every time. The plan is to head to Azure to make their way to Fenmont. Alvin shows up and he's like, "Can I join you guys again? We're basically war buddies." If you haven't noticed this by now, Alvin constantly comes and goes. I was too lazy to do an Alvin counter. And guess who's coming along?
Huh?
Friend of yours?
Yeah, a real barrel of fun.
What's Leia's purpose in this story? She has none, and that's what makes her so great. When you're really uncertain about the position in your life, a journey across the world can help you gain a sense of clarity. We got all the characters together and their chemistry with each other is gold. Took some time to get used to one another, but holy shit. When the game wants these characters to be lovable and supportive, they always land the mark.
Hey Alvin, why is Tipo always talking about bazongas? What does that even mean?
Oh, he finally asks. It seems you're ready to take the first steps towards becoming a man.
Why do you have to make everything so weird? Forget I even asked.
Bazongas are the burning fire at the heart of manhood.
Rowan?
Jude, there are times to play it cool, but a man who fears his own passions is no man at all.
Yes, exactly what I was trying to say.
I'm not even sure I know what we're talking about.
Then you will never know bazongas. You have to want it, Jude. You have to need it.
Then teach me about bazongas.
I can barely hear you. You have to mean it.
Teach me about bazongas!
Whoa! Don't go shouting things like that!
Don't scold him, Leia. I read about this in a book. It's called Puberty. We're supposed to be understanding and supportive.
Don't hate us.
There's no shame in being burned by the fire of manhood.
Side quests are a great way to spend more time with these guys. The thing is, the majority of side content isn't that great. At least not until later. Fetch quests and petty rewards aren't really worth your time. But do give this guy 100 black feathers. You unlock more slots to use your arts. We move on and then Ivor shows up. Apparently with the 4 great spirits gone, the climate has been out of whack. No way to get to Fenmont now. Unless we have wyverns to get us there. Thanks for the info, Ivor. Now fuck off. We made it to Shandu. Oh, goodbye, Alvin. A giant boulder falls off a cliff and is about to hit everyone, but they dodge in time. This city is known for rock slides, so you would think they have some safety procedures. A woman comes up to us and helps us out. Her name is Isla. She's relevant for this story arc. We find the wyverns and Mila wants to do Mila things and ponder how she's going to break the cage. A guy named Jurgen from the only clan in this universe questions us. If we want the wyverns, parents, we had to fight in a tournament for them. Hey, the combat is fun, so why not? After winning the primary round, it's time for dinner. News came in and that rock slide was no accident. Everyone but our character just dies after eating the poisonous food. If you look closely, you can still see them breathing. Mila knows who did this. It's a group called Exodus who's been trying to kill her for 20 years now. Destroying the Spyrexes had really upsetted them, and it looks like they've been traveling with one of them. Apparently Alvin says he's just a lackey, but trusting him is really difficult. Disguising yourself as a mercenary to hide the fact that you work for a terrorist group is not something you want to be found out about. Jude gangs run into Isla and looks like she knows who Elise is, and it terrifies her. The tournament is still going on, but circumstances has changed. It's 1v1 in a fight to the death. They are after Mila and she's going to use herself as bait while the gang scout out for snipers. This next part kinda pissed me off because they leave the 12-year-old mage alone. As they were looking for the assassins, Elise saw Isla, ran after her and bumped into some strange people and they snatched Tipo. They were after him the whole time. Now Mila has to deal with people who are using Spyrexes against her. She sends Alvin to save her and the other come to her aid. I swear to God I hate these flamethrower assholes. Nothing pisses me off more than being continuously stun locked and being affected by status ailment. Okay, lag and frame drops may be worse. We discover where the two went. Searching through the ominous area, we found an injured Alvin and distressed Elise. Tipo, well, he's gone. At least the one we knew. One of the Snatcher ripped out a device from Tipo and lost who he was. With no trail, we start heading back into the city. Not before encountering Zhao. Elise past is slowly revealed. This laboratory, which is clearly a mining facility, is where Elise was sold and raised after her parents died. Tipo is actually something called a booster. It's basically something that amplifies the user's mana and read their thoughts out loud. Tipo is a personification of a child's mind. When they rip out the device from him, they stole his memory chip. Think of it like someone deleting your save file and you gotta start a new game. Elise's parents were murdered and now she has lost her best friend. This is a lot for her to take in. We were told that the woman who brought her to the lab was Isla. And guess who shows her face? The gang calls out Isla for working with Exodus the whole time. She said that she had no choice. Either she helps them or her fiance Jurgen will find out. She breaks down. Situations like these can get really complicated when the perpetrator is also a victim. But it doesn't matter. Elise doesn't care about anything anymore. When you realize you have nothing left, it's hard not to get pessimistic. I'm pretty sure we all acted like her at some point. Unable to ride the wyverns due to the war between Rashko and Azure about to break out, we need permission from the king. Time to go meet him. It's kinda odd that while we're on the way to the capital, Elise and Tipo are back to their old selves. At least in the skits.
I'm impressed with your ability to handle a different weapon in each hand.
When I was a kid, I was left-handed, so I worked at strengthening my right arm instead.
That shows good combat sense. I imagine you needed special training to learn how to wield a sword with your offhand.
That must have been tough.
No, it had nothing to do with combat, just part of my daily life. You know me, always a girl on each arm. And it would be rude to handle each of them differently.
What? And here I was starting to respect you.
I'm leaving.
Are 2 arms even enough for you?
With a woman of your stature, maybe not.
Good. I'd hate for you to think that you can handle me with just 1.
Now that we know that Tipo is Elise's thoughts, it makes the duo ironically more expressive. Like you always want to say what's in your mind, but you're too shy or scared to say it. A floating doll thing explicitly speaking for you can be a lot easier. We made it to the capital and had to wait for our audience with the king. Everyone is chilling while Leia wants to get closer to Elise.
Hey, just because Tipo's gotten quiet doesn't mean you have to. I'd love to hear more about you, Elise, in your own words.
Shut up, Leia. You're the one holding us all back after all.
Huh?
Elise, that was uncalled for. You should apologize.
You must have really crossed the line if Mama Mila's scolding you.
I hate Mila. And Leia too.
Hey, where you going?
Ouch. That stung a little. Not gonna lie.
Please, do not let it get to you.
Wow, that was pretty harsh. Kids can say the meanest things and you normally don't take it seriously, but if it's from someone you care about, shit can sting. We chase after Elise and Xiao is there because why not? Leia is trying to reconcile with her, but she's going through a really dark phase. But Rowan is like, Elise, your words were hurtful and everyone's worried about you. Let's all forget, for we are friends. And yeah, she apologizes and everything is fine now. Her character arc ended as soon as it began. It would be really awkward to continue traveling with someone who stopped caring about anything, but I think you can make it work by teaching Elise the value of friendship. I mean, that's all she has now. This is what they could have done. Elise doubt and negativity leaves her vulnerable to enemy attacks, but everyone gets hurt protecting her. Realizing that she doesn't want the people she loves to die, she obliterates the enemies with her dark arts and heals the team. And then she learns her lesson. I mean, my scenario is unbelievable considering how strong everyone is, but I can't imagine a situation where that would work. We finally got the approval to meet the king of Aljour, Gaius, with his Camariats by his side, Zhao the child abductor, Pressa the pussy, Wingle, not the Pokemon, and Agria the crazy one, but she isn't here. An odd choice of women, but whatever. We tell him about the boosters and how wrong it is and how Rashko has the lance that will be used in the war. He is aware of all of it. Just being in his presence is already intimidating enough.
Tell me something, boy. Have you ever considered what it takes to achieve happiness?
To achieve happiness?
Yes, to try and live a satisfying life. How do you think one can achieve that? Do you even know?
Well...
It takes freedom to make your own decisions and to form your own beliefs.
Exactly. It takes freedom.
Well, I disagree. When a man loses his way in life, the ground beneath him starts to slowly crumble, until there is nothing left.
What do you mean, nothing left?
A man who cannot find his way becomes trapped. The more he struggles, the deeper he sinks into uncertainty. True happiness comes from following a noble path across an entire lifetime, without getting lost. My country does not produce failures. It is the king's duty to show his people the proper path. I must keep them from becoming completely trapped.
With that alone, we already know what type of person and king he is. Someone who's weak and hesitates, has no right leading people to a better path in life. Gaius demands Milan to hand over the key to the lands. Refusing, Alvin tells them instead. He betrays us. He was also in alliance with them. Rashiko has started attacking towns. The war begins. We make our escape and Alvin is no longer in the party. Somehow, Pressa and Wingo are ahead of us and prevents our escape. Wingo is equipped with the booster and transform.
What? Is that Longdao?
Did he just go super Asian? The Chimera fights, at least when they're together, can be pretty challenging. Humanoid enemies are already annoying to deal with their small hurt boxes, casting, and agility. But when you fight these guys, they take full advantage of Lincoln. Kinda wish there was more linked fights. We beat the two but need to escape before we're surrounded. Making it back to Shandu to take the Wyverns, guess who's back? Hey, I misdirected them and got us permission to ride the Wyverns. Let me back into the team and there'll be no trouble later. I genuinely cannot believe how they easily let him back in. He worked for a terrorist group, sold us out, and sold us out again and expects him not to pull this shit again? They were just desperate to keep the party minimum at 6. It's kinda odd that you can still fast travel across the world to do side quests. Not the best time to do that when a war with the only 2 countries in the world is starting. We finally get to ride the Wyverns and no one is having a good time.
Stop this wyvern! I want to get off!
This is quite difficult.
Try to steer better, please! Help! I think I'm gonna fall!
T-Bone, shut it!
But god damn, ufotable animation is always top notch. We made our way to Fenmont and headed to the laboratory, off to destroy the lance. It turns out that it's no longer at the place we found it. You need some really powerful vehicle to move that thing. But Rieze Maxia is unable to build an automobile. You know, spirits killing spirits and all that. So how did they move something that's probably 5 tons? We need to talk to Agria so she can tell us the location of the lance. Agria is entertaining in the bad kind of way. She's annoying, crazy, and does much of nothing except for causing trouble. How the guys convert her to be loyal to him is unknown, but she has that energy to keep your eyes glued to her. Maybe because she has the most expressive animation, or she's so messed up in the head that it's kinda humorous watching her. Like, what the hell was that crawl? To make Leo somewhat have a connection to an antagonist, she's pretty much Agria's rival. We head to Noctical's palace to destroy the lance and defeat the Mad King who doesn't leave an impression on us. Honestly, a one-note villain. The most interesting thing about him is that he's a huge part of Rowan's past, to fight a former friend due to different worldviews and events he could have prevented. I really like the idea of an old man running from his past and having to face it one day, or else he'll wither away with regret. The thing is that Rowan's development ends after this, and that's okay. I just don't like that Rowan's purpose in this story is just him tagging along. Not saying he does nothing, he still provides wisdom to the cast. I just think he needed to question his purpose. Like, does he actually like being a butler or miss the political side of the world? After defeating Noctical, Rowan is like, we beat your ass, but you can still change. Alright, I'll do it. And then he gets impaled by icicles. Losing the king isn't going to put the country in jeopardy. The lance was somehow moved again, and now it's time for war. Hey, let's get ourselves involved. Basically, our plan is to charge in and fight guys to stop the war, not before fighting the Chimeriads. Like all RPGs or any game out there, the real test of your abilities is dictated by bosses. Everyone says Xillia is an easy game, I can't argue with that. Normal encounters, of course, they're supposed to be a breeze. Would be pretty annoying if every fight is designed to stress you out. I play on moderate difficulty, it's between normal and hard. Honestly, the perfect balance. But holy shit can they hold their own at times. Just look at this fight. I'm just pushing buttons. It's not hard, but it does provide a challenge. A mechanic that I like but not attached to is switching characters in mid-battle. The idea of being flexible and making everyone involved makes sense. In turn, it can cause some balance issues. It's either too easy or the enemies are too spongy. We defeat the Chimeriads and make our way to Gaius. He plans to use the lance to rule all of Rieze Maxia, not to dominate it, but to protect it from itself. He even choked when Mila challenged him with the fact that he will die someday, and someone after him will use it for evil. Gaius stands his ground and will make sure those after him will take the path that he carved. Even with the 6 of us, he overwhelmed us with his godly strength. It's all interrupted by Ivor, who wants to play the hero and activates the lance. The lance drains everyone's mana and shoots a beam into the sky. Mila is shaken with fear. The lance was never a weapon. It dispels arts. Airships that are unknown to Rieze Maxia sail the skies. Gillen shows himself and it turns out that he's the leader of Exodus. He also introduced us to the great spirit of ice he's been controlling, Celsius. Gillen ordered his army to take Mila and Elise and kill everyone else but Alvin. Mila charges in to save Elise, but Gaius knocks her out and tells them to get out of here. The Chimeriad comes to his aid. Zhao saves Elise and confesses to her. He's the bandit who murdered Elise's parents. Seeing Zhao all alone made him realize what a scumbag he is. The only way to atone is to make sure she's safe, but never consider how she feels. Knowing that she won't be alone anymore, the guilt overtakes him. The only way he can redeem himself is to save everyone. Gaius and Zhao stare at each other.
Thank you for your faithful service.
You don't need to open your mouth to hear what the other person has to say. Zhao sacrificed himself and now the team is split up. Jude wakes up on a snowy shore and does not miraculously die from hypothermia. As he looks for the others, he meets a mysterious floating woman named Muze. She's a great spirit and Mila's sister. This character is full of sexual innuendos. She always talks about how she wants to be tethered with Jude and be filled with mana.
Thanks to his direct tethering with me, I was able to recharge much of my lost mana.
Jude, you direct tethered with her?
Yeah. Muse asked me to. Was that bad?
Bad? It's, direct tethering is something a spirit and a human do when,
Since we were together constantly, he was able to fill me with loads of mana.
I had no idea you were that kind of man.
Mila, wait! Why is she so angry?
I can't believe you'd ask me to explain that to you. Do you just want to hear me say it? Is that what you're into?
Someone tell me what is going on with these spirits.
If you don't get it, she wants you to stick your dick in her and fill her with semen, allegedly. Jude meets up with Alvin and Lise while Mila reunites with Rowan and Leia. This is one of the few gameplay sections that try to justify the dual protagonist concept. Jude gets an ice cave and Mila gets a fire one. I do think it's generous of them to scale the characters with new equipment and EXP when they get back together. Gillen took over the capital and the truth is revealed to us. Millenniums ago, Maxwell cast the Spirit Art Schism to separate the two worlds apart. Rieze Maxia and Olympias, the home where Exodus and Elvin are originally from. They were trapped in Rieze Maxia when Maxwell cast the schism. They were only trying to find a way home using the Lance of Kresnik to dispel the art. Another way to break the barrier was to kill Mila. Olympias is a dying world that barely has any mana due to his constant use of Spyrix that kills the spirits. So Exodus knew plans to entrap Rieze Maxia and harvest mana from them so their world can survive. Not the first time, and definitely not the last time where the series uses the two-world conflicting concept. The gang and Guy's team agrees to take down Gillen. Jude suggests that they should stay together, but Guy insists on being the final boss. Almost like he's supposed to be playable or something. The conversations between Mila and Guys are so goddamn good. The two deeply respect each other and want to save the world, while questioning one's another method. One wants to save the world from itself, while the other one wants to save the people by giving them a chance to strive for something greater. The two groups rush the capital. We take the Wyverns to an airship so we can steal it. I don't know how anyone's able to operate something they never seen before. After committing piracy, Guys united the soldiers of Aljul and Rashago to fight a common enemy. That country has no leader now, so it makes sense the king from another nation is like, hey, you listen to me now. We set sail for the Moby Dick so we can stop Gillen, who's using the lance to absorb mana, and send it to Olympias. Crashing into the Zenithra and boarding it, Muse recovers her power and brought down all the airship at once. I'm so glad the suspicious floating woman is on our side and not using her godly powers to kill everyone. It's almost like she's supposed to be playable or something. The gang explored the Zenithra, the ship that was casted away in Rieze Maxia. I do like how Alvin is the only Olympian on our side. In a way, he's a stand-in for every human on Earth. Imagine being trapped in a different world with no way back, and everyone but you can use magical powers to fight while you have to find a way to adapt to your new life. Outside of superhuman strength, being unable to cast any spirits or convenient healing spells is normal for people like him. That's why we have power fantasies, to imagine something beyond our limitations. But hey, we have guns to solve our problems. Ask anyone from Sandy Hook. We face Gillen and the Great Spirit Celsius. At this point, you really start to notice how easy fights are. It's still fun, they just give you really strong skills off the bat, like HP and TP surge. Recover a fallen ally HP and TP to 100% when they are revived. I guess it's because the max level in this game is 99 instead of the series standard of 200. It's the end of Gillen. Not really a compelling villain, but you can understand that he wants to save his world, even if it means the death of another. The sins of the forefather doomed their world, therefore the future generation have to live with the consequences. A message on how you should take care of the earth. Mila obtained the Great Four again. As she was about to destroy the lance, a gravity orb forced everyone down to the floor. If they don't do something, they will all die. Jude suggests using the lance to dispel it. Mila trudges her way to the lance. With no mana left and everyone on the verge of dying, Mila will not stray from her path, sacrificing herself to save everyone. The one who caused it is none other than Muse. With our main heroine gone, everything just fell apart and the team disbanded. Jude not only lost his pillar and guide, he also lost the person he loves. It's revealed that Muse is the spirits that guard the schism. It is ordered by the real Maxwell to kill and get rid of anyone who know of its existence. Mila was only a distraction to lure out Exodus. Jude lacked purpose in life. He could have become a doctor if he just minded his own business and studied at university, but that's not what he really wanted. Sure, he probably followed Mila because he wanted to score, but he continued to aid her in her journey to not only help people in a way that benefits the world, but to also find himself. When you're in the shadow of the main character, it makes you ask, what and who are you without her? Without an answer, it leaves you depressed and makes you question, what's the point? Leia, being the kind soul that she really is, takes care of Jude, even if he's lashing out. Alvin comes by and he's here to kill Jude so he can go back home to Olympus with the deal he made with Muse. That's so messed up. Instead of killing us herself, she wants us to watch us fight each other. Jude is dead inside, and Alvin is broken with his entire life being nothing but lies.
You always try to go with the flow. You really piss me off, you know.
Come on!
Hey!
Leia tries to escape with Jude, but he just wants to give up. Alvin catches up. With no choice, she fights back. Seeing the characters you watch grow and care about each other, now struggling with their own lack of self-worth and fighting, makes this pretty intense to watch. They are nothing like Mila. She had a goal bigger than herself and everyone just tagged along for the ride. Alvin lied, been lied to, and now her entire mission was just a lie. No wonder he's a wandering mess.
We're just plain old human beings. We can't be like her.
Jude realizes something. Mila sacrificed herself for those she loved. He is the one who changed Mila and helped her understand the complexity of humans. He's the one who showed her that humans and spirits don't just have a symbiotic relationship, they can also care about each other. Jude snaps out of it and takes Leia's hand. Everything will be fine.
Leia!
I didn't mean to.
Alvin!
Jude, this is your fault!
Why? Alvin, why?
Why are you surprised? Isn't this what you expected from me?
Not like this!
Well, that's too bad. You've been pissing me off since day one. Always the perfect student, trying to please everyone. Never wavering those damn ideals.
Then what? What did you want me to do?
You can either win or lose this fight, the result will be the same. But obviously you want the canon cutscene and the EXP. Jude beats down Alvin and tells him that she didn't die just so we can fight each other.
Well then, what the hell should we be doing? I'm not Mila. I can't live like her. I don't have a mission to fulfill.
She's not here to hold our hands anymore. We have to think for ourselves now.
Think for ourselves how?
No one is gonna make our decisions for us anymore! And no one will take responsibility for our actions ever again! Even if Mila's mission was all a lie, the truth is, she was still willing to put her life on the line to fulfill it. It's not a matter of if you can or can't. It's a matter of whether you do or don't.
Jude. You.
Why'd it take me this long to figure out what Mila was trying to tell us?
Jude's arc came full circle. He went from doing what he was told to do in life, even if it sent him into the lowest of lows, to wanting to find the truth of the war and save it just like how Mila inspired the whole team into doing. I swear this is the last time Alvin leaves. Jude helped Leia recover from a bullet to the back, which I doubt he even took out. His next mission is to find the real Maxwell and try to understand why the schism was made. Hey, Elise and Rowan are back. The news is Gaius is basically the king of Rieze Maxia, and Muse is going apeshit. Gaius is trying to recover the Lance of Kresnik and use it so Rieze Maxia can thrive. Jude is against it and wants to help the people of Olympus. Even though Mila is gone, her presence is ingrained within the characters. We lure out Muse and she's gone mad, destroying sinking ships. I kinda find it funny she would fight us head on and not use her godly powers to instantly kill us. Maxwell has abandoned her. Without anyone to give her orders, she tries to justify her action because it's what she thinks she's supposed to do. She escapes and guys follows. We had the same idea, but Wingle is like, "You're not gonna stop His Highness." It's inevitable. We need good boss fights from here on. Not that many of the bosses were bad so far, just the endgame bosses are climactic as they should be. Ivor is going to deal with us. His jealousy over Jude led him to screw everyone over and fail his job as Mila's handmaid. Instead of reflecting, he chooses to fight us. I really hate this guy. Yeah, I don't see any redeeming qualities about him, so I'm gonna leave him be. The gang carries on and run into Pressa, Agria, and Alvin. They stand in front of the portal that leads into the spirit realm and intend to stop us from reaching Maxwell. Agria attacks the gang, but Alvin stands in her way and takes a hit for us. Full of conflicting feelings, he ultimately decides to fight our side again. I swear he will not leave the party again. After the final fight against those two, the first thing Alvin does is apologize to Leia. We never know the extent of Alvin's and Pressa's relationship, but they were clearly lovers. Wish we had more insight to the Chimerias besides them telling us what happened in their past. The ground beneath them begins to collapse. Alvin tried to reach for her, but he was too late. Leia grabs Agria and the bitch was never in her own mind. She would rather fall to her death than to be saved by Leia. Wow. The only thing crazy people want to prove is that their point means nothing. With nowhere for Alvin to go, Jude allows him back. He betrayed you guys multiple times, lied to you about who he really is, and then near killed Jude and shot Leia in the back. I already hate people for doing less. I can't imagine breathing the same air as someone like him. The party dislikes him. Funny enough, Leia doesn't. Not entirely forgiving him, but they know that it would take a lot of healing and rebuilding to fix their friendship. I love how a magical portal to a different realm is open just because it was the perfect climate and temperature for it. Muse is broken now that she's without a purpose. Desperate for one, she begs Gaius to make her do anything. A world ending being do whatever you say. Who will pass that up? The gang enters the infinite azure. We're not playing Tekken, but the beautiful endless water you can walk on in clear skies always make me feel serene. Not until you rebel is resident to a godly being. Maxwell, the Lord of Spirits, appears before us. With the Olympian dependency on using Spyrexes, Maxwell casts a schism to separate the two worlds and cause segregation. One world should die so the other one can live. The whole purpose of Mila's life is to make Exodus believe they killed Maxwell, and everything they have done has been for nothing. Jude is going to destroy the schism and unite the two worlds. He and the others will not let him be stopped by Maxwell. This fight is so fucking annoying. He will absorb your TP. I don't mind that much, but when Elise doesn't feel like casting or keeping herself at a safe distance, it gets annoying when your caster is unable to fight because there's no proper way to tell him to back the hell up. Maxwell overwhelms the party with his powerful arts. Refusing to go down, Jude gets right back up. Going in for the punch, Mila jumps in and helps Jude land his head and send Maxwell flying. It's pretty obvious they weren't going to permanently kill off their first female lead. I mean, she's in the second game, so that's spoiled, I guess. I mean, even a child would know that she would come back. Everyone is here and now together. They will take down Maxwell. But wait a minute. Do you want to know what happened to Mila? I wondered that for 7 years. The whole conflict with Alvin, the death of the two Chimerias, important plot points that answers questions and build up the final boss. That's all only in Jude's story. So Mila must have something that's just as impactful. I feel bad for people who chooses Mila's campaign first and never experience Jude's side. After she dies, she loses her memories and becomes a spirit or something. She's lost in the spirit realm, I think. I don't know. She interacts with people and they can see her in the Four. Oh yeah, the Great Four are apparently characters and look after her. This section is just about running around with no clear destination. The story slows down so hard I was in disbelief with how bored and disappointed about where my 7-year curiosity has led me. Muse was going to sacrifice the Four and reincarnate them because now they know too much. Mila doesn't want that, and the whole truth was told to her. She was bait and her whole purpose was a lie. Even the Grateful knew about the mission and followed Maxwell orders. They realized that they care about Mila and want to stick by her. So we have a really stupid ass fight with Muse. Maxwell tells Muse to piss off. Mila enters a dimensional breach or whatever and sees that the party is having trouble. She recovers her memory and does her hero thing. I don't like the split story. Jude campaigns focus on the overall narrative while Mila focuses on her and a little bit on Alvin's. Xillia was trying to be revolutionary in the series, which it honestly is, but the dual protagonist concept, means nothing. I don't see many games having this type of split without compromising because it's already hard to make one campaign. Any more than one is just ambitious. You only get an exclusive cutscenes and that's it. There's no real reason to split up Jude and Mila when they could have easily just made the game into one cohesive narrative and just change the perspective when it's needed. Because overall, it's still the same game. If you play Mila first, they just tell you what happened while she was dead. You just been robbed of not only the shift in the story, but Jude's full character arc. The Tale games have replay value, but holy shit, it's so messed up to mislead your audience into thinking there's a bunch of new content if they decide to immediately jump right into a second playthrough in a JRPG, a genre that's designed to take a lot of time out of your life to play. The game defeats him. With the power of the human heart, they convince Maxwell to dispel the schism. Now Rieze Maxia and Olympias can live in peace. But Guy says, "You are all fools. I will take over." He really came in here and just told everyone that he is equal, if not greater than God himself. Now with Muse by his side, he summons the Lance of Kresnik because apparently no one is tired of that thing already, and uses Maxwell to give it unlimited mana. Guys reaches in Muse's chest and pulls out a sword, which I'm convinced is a fetish at this point. He cuts a hole in space, but Maxwell uses the last of his powers to create another hole for the game to get sucked up in. Where does it lead? To the place we've been building up to. Olympias. Everyone is fine and things happen. Like we already established, the world is dying due to the lack of spirit. Barely any trees or grass. The thing is, Spyrex is what makes people's lives easier. Ironically, even Mila's lake device that allows her to walk is a Spyrex. Think of it like your phone. You use it every day and it's part of your daily life. Depending on who you are, it makes everything so much better. The thing is, you need cobalt to make the batteries work. Where does cobalt come from? Very underprivileged people mine it for $2 an hour with a high risk of contracting some sort of lung issues just so they can feed themselves at the end of the day. Even with that knowledge, unless you have some sort of messiah complex, you will not get rid of your phone, laptop, or PC. I mean, how else are you gonna watch this? The team decided that they cannot get rid of Spyrexes, but instead tried to find a way to protect newborn spirits so Olympias can live. They head towards a Spyrex research facility, not before welcoming Mila back.
Oh, it is you! I never forget what these feel like!
Stop it, Tipo. Let go.
No, it's what you get for making us worry!
That's right. I want a hug too. Leave some room for me.
Even you, Leia?
No point trying to fight it.
Fine. I surrender. I'm sorry for what I put you all through. That includes you, Alvin.
That's really not necessary.
No need to be coy, or Mila won't let you into the group hug.
What, you plan on joining in too?
I don't mind.
Very well then.
And I'm out.
It's nice to see that Mila genuinely cares for her friends, instead of only seeing them as a way to reach her end goal. Guys and Muse attack the research facility with the plan to destroy every Spyrex, letting Olympias die as Rieze Maxia thrive. Hey, it's fine if they do it. Fuck fair game. They encountered the Great Spirit of Lightning, Volt, who is actually just nobody important. In fact, they just keep reminding us what Gaia's plan is. Like you already told us like 3 times. You know how the world is dying and stuff? Well, don't worry. Spyrex are going to be a thing. They will replace Spyrex due to them not killing spirits. Our world-ending problems are now solved, but we still need a final boss, and Guys and Muse are the only one who fit that bill. Even the characters are like, there's no point in fighting him, but we gotta knock his ego down. I mean, we already traveled to another world, so we might as well finish this journey with a bang. If you feel like this was all rushed, well it was. I couldn't exactly find out why, but my guess is that Namco wanted it out before the series' 15th anniversary. After Mila died, you start to see the cracks. When you enter Olympias, it feels like a demo. Only 2 dungeons, I say dungeons loosely when it comes to this game. One of them being an EX dungeon, a underdeveloped world, a rushed ending. Even one of the main characters we've been following doesn't know what she wants to do. Leia is the most egregious character. The reason she went on this journey is to find her purpose in life. In the end, her conclusion is, I want to see Jude smile. You made her get shot in the back just so she can get cucked? With guys giving us one last chance to head back to Rieze Maxia, it's time to tie up some loose ends. The side quests in this game aren't amazing, but the one that expands the characters is worth doing. Jude wants to reconcile with his father by proving that he's his own man and can help people in other ways besides being a doctor. We're taught to follow the footsteps of our parents at the cost of our own individuality, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't inherit the great parts about them. To no one's surprise, Jude is half Olympian. They gotta make our main boy more special than he already is. Elise wants to remember her parents, but all she can remember is the man who took her in, Zhao. The gang heads to the place where Elise's house used to be and find nothing but flowers, her last piece of memory before her parents died. Although Elise didn't change much throughout the story, she at least made peace with the fact that, yeah, she had a very shitty childhood and was protected and locked in the basement by the man who killed her parents. She found new friends who care about each other and realized that she'll be okay. Rowan, being old, always looked back at his past and contemplates what he should have done. Noctical went mad due to losing his sister to a tsunami. Rowan blames himself for losing his friend and his lover. Running away only caused more problems, which he will have to face one day if he wants to leave the world without regret. Fortunately for Rowan, he meets her again in Olympias, but she has amnesia, so the tsunami just washed her into another world. That's some real magic stuff right there. Now she has a family of her own. Rowan is heartbroken, but as long as she's happy, he'll live. Even when confronting the man who hid her from her past and stole her heart, Rowan offers to bring her husband back to Olympias. Conveniently, she recovers her memories and the two properly bid each other farewell. I guess hanging around the young makes you remember that smile and growth are what eases the heart. Best to have some sort of closure instead of none at all. Alvin is easily the most complex character, honestly one of the most complex I've ever seen. An Olympian who wants to save his world, fell in love with a woman from another, and became friends with a group of people who gave him more chances than he deserved. It's no wonder he's branded as a traitor. Commitment and loyalty isn't something he has figured out yet. Even then, he still really cared about his mom. With a bedridden mother, he sends her letters and tells her about his adventure and the people he met. He blackmailed Isla to stay as his mom's caretaker, if not he'll tell Jurgen of her past. When he got the news that his mom passed away, he doesn't show it but really broke him. At the same time, it's relieving. Can't really save the world and live your life when you're constantly worrying about the inevitable. Alvin figured out that Isla poisoned her. They chase her down and confront her. Alvin forgives her because that's what his mother would have wanted. She didn't believe him and fell off the bridge. Now she's bedridden. Jurgen knew who she was, but that doesn't stop him from loving her. Losing family and a lover can really take a toll on someone. The only thing he can do now is earn the trust of his friends who he have wronged. Forgiveness is not easy, even if you admit to fault. But luckily, he's around easygoing people.
Huh?
That's a thank you. I just wanted you to know that from now on, I'm gonna be your friend, okay?
How come the kids are the wisest people in this group?
With barely any time left, Leia forgives Alvin because proper reconciliation isn't in the budget. The team heads off to the spirit dimension and run into Wingle. He will sacrifice himself for Gaius' belief. He's supposed to be Rowan's rival by claiming that he's a better tactician than him, but there's no real history between the two. At least not that I'm aware of. The Chimerias feel underdeveloped as characters. Villains, they're fine. If you want to know more about their backstories, you have to look up sources outside of the game. I don't think that's a good way for people to get invested into caring about your characters. Wingo uses the last of his strength to separate the party and dies in the process. Everyone races their way to Gaius. Jude and Mila manage to run into each other and will face him together. With Gaius determined in having the world-ending goddess by his side, he goes Bankai! For now, it's just Jude and Mila, but as the fight goes on, one by one, the gang joins the fight by using their mystic arts. This is all pretty cool, except for the fact that this fight is hard as hell. It's the final boss, so it makes sense. What I find annoying is that guys in Muse love spamming their mystic art. Other than that, it's great. Even getting comboed by guys is cool. The team defeated the two. Mila destroyed the lance and freed Maxwell. Guys believes that it won't end well. Olympians and Rieze Maxians cannot coexist and he will be needed to guide them. Jude showed him that he was lost multiple times, but all a person needs to do is get up, struggle, and fight for a better tomorrow. Mila forgives Muse and asks if she wants to join her. She plans on becoming the new Maxwell, watching over the spirit so she can give everyone time to perfect the solution to both world crises. This means goodbye, but someday, in the sequel, they will meet again.
Everything's all right.
From now on, I am Mila Maxwell, the Lord of the Spirits. I will be okay.
After that, everyone continued with their lives. Alvin started business with Jurgen to connect the two worlds. Leia still doesn't know what she wants to do. Elise put Tipo away and started going to school like a normal kid. With Guys losing off his loyal retainers to us, Rowan offers to be his new right hand. Jude is now a spy right researcher, finding ways to save Olympias and improve people's lives. Mila is just chilling in the spirit realm, proud of the journey she took that brought her here. And that's Tales of Xillia, one of the most beloved games in the franchise. It really shaped the series after it, to be honest a little bit too much. There's more to a game than story and combat. The endgame was underwhelming. JRPGs are usually 60-hour plus. You can beat this one in like 34. It makes me think what would happen if it wasn't rushed. Would we actually get the proper character development? Maybe what I would actually care about? Who knows. All I know is that I enjoyed the game for what it is. But the strange thing is, I didn't love it. At least not by itself. Do you ever sit and wonder what happened to the characters you grew attached to after they experienced their life journey? Hideo Baba wasn't done. After the development of the first game, he and the team immediately worked on the sequel, Tales of Xillia 2. The rushed development of the first game left a lot to be desired. Guys and Muse were meant to be playable but couldn't make it in the final cut. Olympias, well, I already told you what happened. The whole thing with Mila becoming Maxwell, they explained the reason in the second game, so if you never played it, her final decision can be confusing. The question is, what can they do in the sequel? Especially when they released it 1 year after the first game came out. They were confident that people were so hooked to the game that the audience wanted more, to see how the characters move on with their lives, expand in the world, and push new grounds for the franchise. So what did they introduce? Decision making. Hideo Baba was like, everyone makes choices in their lives that will have an outcome. Whether it's good or bad, you have to find a way to deal with it. Like if you accidentally get a bitch pregnant, you can either be a good dad or run away like a little pussy who deserves to get their knee blown out. Many games have choices that will permanently affect the journey that you're on. Best examples are Bethesda and BioWare games. Not many Japanese games really did the whole choice thing good or done right at all. It's extra work and more money to spend on. Honestly, I don't really care about that sort of thing. I usually like a straightforward and linear story. So when I heard that Tales of Xillia 2 was going to have that type of system, my expectations were whatever. After completing the game for the first time, I thought it was one of the best Tales game ever. Hell, it was my favorite for a while. Imagine how shocked I was when I found out this is one of the most divisive entries in the series. After replaying it, I can see why. Like the development of the game, it's been a whole year after the events of Xillia 1. The two worlds are joining and trying to coexist. Our new main character is Luger Kresnik, an Olympian, and the series' first silent protagonist. No relation to the Lance at all. Pretty ballsy decision. They really want to make the player feel more involved because of the new features that I will explain later. I don't like it at all. No one does. It makes his interaction with the other characters so awkward. I wouldn't blame anyone if it takes them out of the experience. But he does have a voiceover option in New Game Plus. After waking up late, he managed to make it in time for his corporate entrance exam. The examiner is Luger's brother, Julius. Luger task is to eliminate monsters. If you already played the first game, it's exactly the same, with the exception of a few tweaks. Mainly sidestepping. It costs AC to use, but it's so useful. Avoiding enemy attacks is much easier and moving around the arena is quicker than free running. Honestly, this alone makes the first game harder to go back to. The other new addition is gaining AC when you hold down the block button. It kinda sucks. You have to slow down combat just to get an extra point you would not know that you spent, because when you get to the mid and late game, they hand you a shit ton of AC, so it's not a problem no more. They wanted to make sure that the fighting doesn't stop and the player will be able to express their skills, which makes the whole guarded thing so contradictory. After taking out the monsters, a woman is suddenly attacked by one. You can either save or ignore her because it doesn't matter. You will fail the test either way. Choices literally don't mean jack shit. It only gives the illusion of decision making. Many games, especially JRPGs, don't do the multiple route things right because it's a lot of time and money. You have to work on many new scenarios, write 100 pages of script, pay people to read out those scripts, and not have any continuity errors and fuck over your cast. I played through this game again and made sure I was a scumbag. That didn't stop getting everyone to like me and obtaining the true ending. Clearly this is not an idea that would have been made efficiently within a year. We cut to a rainy night. A father and his daughter are escaping from assassins.
Al, wait right there! He went downstairs. After him.
He brings her to the docks, gives her his watch and tells her to go to the land of Canaan. There, any wish can be granted and they will be together again. He sends her off as the young girl watches her father being gunned down. But his power activates and proceeds to kill them all. Cutting back to the brothers, Luca found another job and is ready to start his first day. It's nice that we get a glimpse of what Olympian life is like. It's normal, like us, cooking tomato soup, living with an apartment cat, being in crippling debt. Boy, we aren't even there yet. As Luca heads for the next train to work, he runs into a protagonist. Jude is having trouble finding the train station, so we offer to take him there with us. The little girl Elle also needs to get onto the train, but she's lost. But our cat Roller is like, "Follow me, for I will lead you the way." We show Jude the train he should hop on to start the story, and Elle is behind us. She tells the guard that we tried to kidnap her, so she could use the distraction to get on the train. Looks like I can't escape my accusation even in video games. Luckily, there was a terrorist attack. Never thought I would say that. Luger, for some reason, head on board to stop them. As he enters, everyone is already dead. Elle could have died, but her watch stopped the bullet. That's really dark. Luger fights back against the terrorists, and I gotta say, the fight choreography is good in this game, but my god, the camera can be wonky at times. We run into Jude and the villain of the game, Beasley Bakur, CEO of the Spurious Corporation, because businessmen evil. Exodus is at it again and we have to stop the train. Jude will help us, and if you're thinking about playing as him, go ahead. I just gotta warn you, he's no longer the boss killing machine like he was in the first game. His ass got nerfed. Kinda odd that everyone loses their combat ability within a year after traveling beyond realms, but what do I know? Remember Lilium Orbs? Forget those, now we have Allium Orbs. I honestly don't know what to say about this. You level up traditionally now, but if you want certain arts and skills, you have to set what orbs you want to equip. You'll collect these things called elemental orbs that will progress the element you set your ally up to. Behind each element have arts and skills you'll work towards. You can acquire something new or upgrade an existing art. I'm mixed about this system. I don't have to worry about leveling up my stats and strengthening already acquired arts is pretty neat, but to constantly check on it can be very exhausting, especially if they don't give you the skill you want, even if you know you're on the right elemental path to get it. It's simple, but very boring and tedious. We run into Julius, who just happens to be on the train. He has some beef with Beasley, but one of the terrorists fires multiple shots at everyone. Luger grabs Elle's hand, and then suddenly he transforms with lance in hand and tosses it into the terrorist. The space around us distorts and the gang is back at the beginning of the train. This time, the world is darker and there's purple particles everywhere. The player can see it, but to the characters, everything looks normal. We do the same thing and head back to where we left off, just to run into Julius again. But this time, he's evil! After defeating him, Luger transforms again and impales Julius. The world shatters and we wake up in a bar. This guy in the red suit is named Rado, and he just saved our lives. To pay him back, we owe him 20 million bucks. Pretty cheap compared to the American healthcare system. Being dirt broke suck ass, so we have to apply for a loan. Now we became college graduates, but without the degree. Now we gotta pay off this debt, while Ella's trying to figure out a way to get to the land of Canaan. To make sure we pay the money back, they restrict the areas we're normally allowed to access. To lift the restrictions, we contact Nova and pay the required gold. We are introduced to the most controversial aspect of the game, the debt system. The main story is on hold until you can pay them back a certain amount. To get the required money, you have to do side jobs, side quests, and fight elite monsters. The jobs are whatever and the side quests are honestly boring, but fighting giant monsters is not only your main source of income, but a good way to use your knowledge against. I see this game as more as a boss rush than a standard action RPG, where you should fight anything that moves. Honestly, the depth system isn't that bad. Does it break the pace of the story? Yes, but you're also playing the game. As long as you don't spend money like an incompetent fool, elite monsters will give you enough. And they are, most of the time, fun to fight. There's character quests that expands the main cast story and add extra scenes, but I'll get more in depth about them way later. If you're complaining about something that's not a big deal, and the fact that you get to play the game more and spend time with each of the characters you should have grown attached to from the previous title, I honestly feel like you don't want to play a game. You just want to say you completed it. Like, why even pick up a controller in the first place if that's your mindset? Real talk here, streamers and big content creators do that shit and it irritates me. Like, do whatever you want, but don't act like you know what's going on, let alone know what you're talking about. After making our payment, we head back home and cook up some tomatoes.
Ugh, tomatoes are gross. expressing my individuality. That's my right.
You sure do know some big words.
Beasley just walks in and he's back. Annoying ass Ivor now works for Spirius. Julius went rogue and we are prime suspect number 1. In order to keep the police off our back, we have to agree to catch Julius. Having the option to go to Marksburg or Helioburg is one of the few times where the game does give you a choice. I mean, it doesn't matter at all, but it's something, I guess. Heading to Marksburg first, trying to find leads on Julius, we run into Leia, who is a journalist now. Why is she one? How is she one? It's never explained. Because she is one now, she'll help us out to gather more stories. Yeah, the characters just immediately likes Luger. They aren't suspicious or even bother learning how to grow with them. It's already predestined that they lay down their lives for you. Hearing rumors about a demon in the alleyway, the gang checks it out. But what do they find? Drug dealers and racism. After saving Jude, you're teleporting to the same place again. But now you're ready for what's about to happen. Rowan comes by trying to stop racism by burning them alive. This isn't the Rowan we know. He's evil. We defeat him and everything is back to normal. While the real Rowan and Gaius shows up. Gaius is trying to understand the people more. To do that, he's traveling around Olympias as a civilian. Rowan, being Gaius' right hand now, agrees to help us out. Now to Helioborg. There's some trouble and Alvin is here to solve it. Leia and Rowan go fuck off so we can make room for Elise, who just happens to be here. She's definitely mature. She's no longer the shy little girl we once knew.
Oh no, I'm a mess right now.
Luger is one smooth talker.
So, Jude, are these friends of yours?
Hey there, how you doing? Back off.
Oh, Chibo's not gonna hurt you. Play nice, okay?
Okay. Maybe later.
But I gotta say her new character design is the worst out of the cast. As you can already tell, the designer wanted a more modern look for them opposed to fantasy. At first I hated it because the original looked so much better, and they still are, boots over shoes any day. But then they grew on me. Jude looks like a sexy anime doctor, Leia fashion sense is tacky like her character, Luger design is so slick I love it. People don't know why he looks so good. I do. It's that tie. Looks like he's going to finish some business. Again, the only one I don't like is Elise. Schoolgirl uniform and how her hair is tied up is just bland to me. The gang is sent to the other dimension, and now we have to fight Volt. This whole first part is just getting the cast from the first game together so they can join Luger and Elle on their wacky adventure. We get back to the original dimension and solve the problem, but still no clues about Julius. Music come by to give us some bad news. She entered the human realm to find Mila, who went missing. Now we have even more problems on our hands. Beasley calls us into his office to make a proposal. He wants to hire Luger because he's capable of destroying dimensions. So basically our world is called the Prime Dimension, and when they're transported, they enter a fractured dimension, which is similar to the Prime Dimension, but we gotta destroy them because it's harming ours. I wouldn't mind the concept so much if it wasn't so lazy. Like they're what if scenarios, but literally nothing is different or even matter because it's going to be destroyed in the end. We accept the offer, and Beasley will help us unlock the power of the Chromatus. Say hello to the strongest character in the series. Luger's fighting style is very versatile. He has dual swords for quick hits, a sledgehammer to break through the toughest enemies, and dual pistols for mid to long range combat. You can switch weapon in combat whenever you want, but you feel so goddamn cool when you start to string his different arts together. All three set of weapons have 49 arts together, and that's not including alternate versions of them and the Chromatus, which is basically DMC Devil Trigger. It's really strong and a great tool to use when you're in a pinch. Instead of losing HP, you'll lose time in the form. So I decided to spam the 3 same moves over and over again so I can get the most out of it. When linked with Luger, he mirrors the character's trait. So if you like playing Elvin but are tired of enemies guarding, link with Luger and he'll do your job. The development team hated designing Luger because he's basically 3 characters in one. Boy did they do a good job on making an arsenal. Luger gameplay design is entirely based around the new power hit system. Enemies have weaknesses to certain elements and weapon types, so with Luger being decked, he can handle all situations. The biggest issue with this new system is that it interrupts the flow of combat. Enemies, of course, have resistances. If you attack an enemy with set resistance, sometimes they won't take damage or get stunned. If you want to try out a different character, you have to take their weapon into account, or else they'll be mostly obsolete. There's a way to get around that, but it's too much effort and that's a turnoff. There's a reason why Luger is mandatory throughout the whole campaign. Obviously, the story revolves around him and Elle, but he also bypasses the biggest flaw to the combat. Now with the newfound power, we're off to a fractured dimension. We need to find a divergence catalyst to not only destroy this world, but to return to our own dimension. Like I said, entering a fractured dimension are like what ifs. In this world, the train never been hijacked, so we decide to take it while Jude and Leia fuck off. As the gang made it to the research plant, Gillen is alive and he's our way in. This is a sneak peek on how a fractured dimension can test our characters. Sure, Alvin might have hated Gillen, but at the same time, you finally get to talk to him without Exodus being a factor in this world. Alvin knocks him out as the gang explores the facility.
I can't believe that Olympius has great spirits too.
In fossil or spirite form, sure, I could see that. But a physically manifested great spirit? Didn't see that coming.
I would imagine that its existence here is only due to this being a fractured dimension.
What kind of spirit is Asuka supposed to be?
It's said to be the great spirit that commands the power of light.
I hope its temperament is sunny too.
I've learned not to expect too much from the temperaments of great spirits. I've had a bad experience or two.
Tell me about it.
Rowan, are there many other great spirits?
Well, we've encountered the four great spirits of earth, water, fire, and wind, as well as the great spirits Celsius of ice and Volt of lightning. I've also read about Shadow, the great spirit of darkness, and Pluto, ruler of the underworld.
And don't forget Muse, and then Lord Maxwell, who rules over them all.
That's what most people believe. But some scholars believe there may be a great spirit even stronger than Maxwell.
Stronger than Maxwell? Do they mean Kronos?
I believe the possibility is high.
Well, let's hope we never run into that guy then.
They enter a room with a bright light. Gillen enters and starts shooting around and accidentally frees the great spirit of light, Asuka. He's like, "I'm free! Sweet!" and proceeds to kill Gillen. Well, that was all for nothing. Jude and Leia joins us and say they heard a rumor of a great spirit wandering around and assume it's Mila. Rowan and Lee stay behind to bury Gillen's body, even though they know it's pointless. They wanted to make room for the other two to join us. The gang searches for the spirit, and unfortunately, they end up finding it.
Is that the spirit with the long hair?
If the other worlds are like this, then the sacred land should remain safe.
The sacred land? Wait, is that the land of Canaan?
The scion of Kresnik, huh? Must you keep insisting on crossing dimensions in search of the key?
So, what's your story?
I am the guardian of the land of Canaan. I am the great spirit Kronos. I'll hurl you into the abyss between dimensions, like I did with the new Maxwell, who sided with the humans.
Maxwell!
Remember how I said the first game was easy? The developers were like, "We hear ya, and you'll regret it." This is the boss that shows you that this game is no joke. I actually thought it was scripted. Then I was like, oh shit, it's not. This game handed me my ass so many times. That was because I played like an idiot. People like to rush in, push some buttons, and think that will always work. Well, to change things up, some bosses have very devastating moves that will most likely instant kill a character. Kronos' Tetra spell is scary. If you get hit by it, you die. If not, status ailment. So you better start learning how to unlink and dodge. If you couldn't tell by now, the game forces you to use the characters they want. Switching characters mid-battle is absent in this game. I mean, it's 9 people now, so that would be really hard to balance. Elise and Rowan would be great for this fight, but they aren't available. You have Luger, Jude, Leia, and Alvin. 4 people who primarily fight at close range. You are required to change your strategy and how you play. I normally don't like using items because of pride and I like to hoard things in case I really need it, and that never ends up being being the case. I was always afraid of using auto items because I thought the AI would misuse it, but you make so much money in this game that it shouldn't really matter. And guess what? I placed my trust in the AI and the experience became so much smoother. It forever changed how I play any game. Everyone now have some sort of healing ability, so if you want, you can put both Jude and Leia on medic duty. Jude sustained suck in the first game, but here, everyone gets an overall buff. Yeah, Jude got nerfed, but if you keep playing and build him up, you'll get the character you once knew back. Scratch that, you'll get an even stronger character. Throughout the game I was under level, but I always prevailed because I learned and grew. They give you the tools to deal with the problems and they're great. Skills should always be a priority over numbers. I don't want to sound like a gatekeeping asshole, but you should have already played the first game and already comfortable with the combat and controls, because it's not going to hold your hand anymore. If you still think this game is unfair, well, get good or get out. The team is overwhelmed by his power. Julius comes in to save us. He managed to open a portal to Rieze Maxia and everyone jumps through. Making our way to Neokera, we reunite with the others. Julius is just being a cryptic asshole towards his brother by keeping him in the dark and saying, "I'll handle everything myself," even though I barely do anything. The team is shocked when they encounter this world's Mila. Even though it's not the Mila we know, she is still the Lord of Spirits, just more abrasive. The Muse in this world is abusive towards Mila, but luckily we need to kill her because we just found a divergence catalyst. So Rowan, Elise, and Jude, fuck off, even if their help would be really appreciated. Hey, gotta make room for our new party member, Fractured Mila. We basically lied to her and say that her sister is being controlled and we can turn her back to normal. But in reality, this world will no longer be a reality. You can feel something going wrong just a mile away. Cool detail is that the game is like, hey, alliomorphs don't exist in this world, so give her one. At least it's consistent there. We find Muse and she's evil. I have a question that's been bugging me the more I think about it. Why are there fractured versions of great spirits? Aren't they one of a kind because they belong to the spirit realm, a place that shouldn't follow the law of the human realm? I swear multiverse stories are inconsistent as fuck. We finish our Fractured Muse and we can finally head back to our world. Mission complete! We destroyed the entire world, but not entirely free from the repercussions. Because we brought back Fractured Mila. She doesn't take the news well.
Well, I do know one thing. You lied to me, damn it!
Quit it! Luger was just doing his job!
His job? What sort of job involves destroying an entire world?
I mean, everything she knew is gone just like that. Regrouping with the others, we tell them what happened, then Rideau shows up like a sleazeball. Revealing that Julie is the one who rigged our entrance exam against us, we are ordered to beat him down, or place our trust in him. You get two different boss fights, but again, it doesn't matter. Heading back to HQ, Beasley tells us of the Tales of Origin's trial. The Great Spirit Maxwell, Kronos, and Origin designed a game for humans to gather all 5 of the waymarkers to find the land of Canaan, and there, any wish can be granted. Of course, the only ones who are able to bring them back are the keys of Kresnik, Luger. Beasley wishes to erase all the fractured dimensions so the Primal is no longer under constant threat of being destroyed. Noble wish, it's just that we already had an antagonist that was willing to destroy a world to save his own. The main difference is that Guy genuinely cares about his people, while Beasley's just a corporate man. Not really someone I would place my faith in. Now that we're stuck with Fractured Mila, it can be a little awkward with Jude around. Honestly, too awkward. The two barely interact. Talking about interactions, there's not a lot of it in the main story. The only time for it is when it's either about what's going on in the moment or when everyone gets together at the start or end of a chapter. I like to imagine that the cast is busy with their own lives and the ones that help us throughout the current events are just available at the time. There is a lot of really entertaining battle quotes and the skits are the saving grace. Like seriously, they are my favorite. The writing structure of the story revolves around Luger and Elle. They have an adorable father and daughter relationship. Together they make each other whole. Luger is a badass, but being a silent protagonist holds him back. That's where Elle becomes the voice for Luger. She's cute, sassy, and a savant with her language.
You know, Mila, you have really big knockers.
What? Where did you learn that? I swear, kids are such a hassle.
But of course, with her being 8 years old, she can't fight and get to Canaan by herself. That's where the partnership comes in. She's the reason why he's able to activate the Chromatus. The writers didn't want the old cast to overshadow the two. That's why they have their own side story. The slogan of the game is a question that sets the tone for Luger's journey. Will you destroy the world for the girl? So Julius has escaped and stole the waymarker, but Gaius wants to meet up with us. You can choose whatever first, but I'm going after Julius. We enter Xillia and run into Muse. She's way more tame now, with a little mischief here and there.
Oh my, Luger. Are you hitting on me?
You're hitting on her?
Huh? Calm down. She's obviously joking.
Of course I was, but isn't that how all the best romances begin?
How would I know?
That was a joke too.
I'm sure it was.
Come to think of it,
I like the way Muse is now too.
Finding Julius' location in a fractured dimension, Muse decides to tag along with us. She specializes in long to mid-range combat. She's great with her physical attacks, long-range spells, and has really good support options. I decided to make her into a dedicated healer. Her air combat is just as flexible as Mila. Wherever she is stuck in the enemy combo, you can backstep and she'll escape from it. When linked with her, she'll teleport you whenever you backstep or front step. Great way to close the distance and escape safely. The only problem with it is that you'll interrupt her while she's casting. She'll work more like an extension rather than another party member. So you know how I said decision making is pointless in this game? Not entirely, because there's an affinity system that lets you build a relationship to the cast and they'll like you even more. It even gives off dating sim vibes. They really want to push that self-insert BS. They'll give you skills and new art, so it's recommended to choose a decision they would like. If you raise it high enough, you'll unlock the dual mystic arts, and Luger has a grand total of 12. Too bad it's not realistic to get on the first playthrough. Searching around the seashore, we finally find Julius. I honestly have no idea how they want me to feel about this character. He's supposed to be the cool big brother that you can always depend on. The thing is that he's barely in the story, and when he is, he does nothing significant. I don't know who he is, what he likes, or even how he interacts with his brother outside of ongoing events. I want to like him, but there's nothing for me to feel attached to. When Nell talks about her dad, she always sings praises about him and how much he would go out of his way for her. You never met the guy, but it tells us that he has to be something great to make her into a daddy's girl. You suddenly hear Els cry. She's been cursed by a monster that's slowly killing her. Healing arts aren't doing anything. The only way to get rid of the curse put on her is to eliminate the thing. Luger uses his own blood to lure it out. Wow, Julius, thanks for the help. Unable to bear Els' agony, his protective instinct allows him to further the strength of the Chromatus, and with that, the monster is done for. We return to our own dimension with El now safe and the second waymarker in our possession. With all that done, let's see what Gaius wants. He wants to see how capable we are at dealing with the burden of our entire universe on our shoulders, so he has to come with us. Gaius is more chill now and even has a strong competitive side to him. He meshes really well with the cast. I even think he and Muse has a thing going on. But when it comes to values and politics, he has that imposing aura feel to him. You know that trope where the boss joins your team and he's immediately nerfed? Yeah, that doesn't apply to Gaius. Wielding a long sword, his attacks are wide and the reach is unmatched, but don't be fooled by the length alone. If you know anything about anime, his strikes are fast and devastating. It's not just his offensive onslaught that will obliterate his enemies. When he blocks an attack, his hands begin to glow, and when you perform a front step, he will counter-attack with a kick and do an upward slash at anyone in his way. When linked, he will protect and give you a power boost. Yeah, it sucks. This might come as a surprise, but I don't like playing Gaius. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's too strong, his sword is too long and can hit anyone around him. Unfairly fast, moves string together like a flowing river, does too much damage, and he's my best character. I also main Sephiroth in Smash.
Have an appreciation for swords, do you? This is over a century old, handcrafted by a brilliant blacksmith. Perfection.
There he goes again.
Didn't know Gaius had this side of him.
Abandoning the great shop system from the first game, they went with the standard RPG enchantment. You can buy new weapons and armor as the game progresses, and now they can give you more AC. You can also make new gears as long as you have the materials. Beware of using crafted weapons because they have elemental properties to them, and at times they will be ineffective. Collecting materials and junk is the same as in the first game. Run around like a bum and hope you find things that will be useful to you one day. You can do that, or you can get the cats to do it. The Kitty Dispatch is basically sending Rolo and his band of felines to collect items for us. You can find the cats around the world, and the more you collect, the better the items they bring back are. We enter Gaius' castle and sit on the throne as Wingle. He's being a sad emo kid, so Gaius has to calm him down.
Jibiti Yayo Li Ying Ki Wung Tin.
Hearing them speak a made-up language made me realize the biggest problems I have with these two games. The world sucked more ass than a public toilet. Like I said way earlier, there's nothing special about the games we're exploring. It's just an obstacle to get us to our destination. Terminologies in a language only two people can speak means nothing if the world I'm trying to save is the most generic, bland, forgettable, boring areas you can explore. They give you a sprint now, but it's still time consuming. There's a few new towns and dungeons, but again, they're nothing special. Rieze Maxia is the exact same. They didn't even bother expanding the world, even the towns. What's the biggest waste of potential is the fractured dimensions. They're exactly the same. There's nothing interesting like, oh, what if guys actually beat us and destroy Olympias? Or if the other world reactor plan actually succeeds. If you're going to have a multiverse story, one of my most disliked type of stories, you gotta make it actually interesting. But instead, it's all copy and paste. Even some of the bosses don't know better. Like, I understand reusing assets. Not only is it effective, but it saves costs and time. I don't mind the lack of visual and graphic changes. It's a direct sequel. That thing doesn't bother me. Hell, Majora Mask did all of that, and that game was also created within a year, with the pressure of following up the most critically acclaimed game ever. I know a different team, time, and budget, but holy shit, if you want to give your game a soul, give it a body first. Obtaining another waymarker, guys, is like RIPs. Muse and I are too strong for the story. Everyone who isn't in your party during the main story get pushed to the sidelines. I would feel better if they actually gave us a reason why they aren't present and how they feel about missing out. At least they give the active characters screen time. Would be pretty hard to pull off if 9 people are talking at the same time. Here are how many times the character joined your party in the main story. You can clearly see that everyone is not equal. Entering the dimension with the 4th waymarker, we're led to a playa. It's dark, rainy, and thunder scares Elle due to it reminding her of what happened to her father. She tries to act tough and mature, but a facade like that from a kid doesn't hold up for too long. Everyone talks to Luga like he's the most important person in the world, but don't forget that Elle is still his voice. So the interaction she has with the cast is genuinely fun. Some people don't like her because she's annoying, even though I never find her like that. Her charisma overshadows her faults. The best part is that each member treats her differently. Still a child, but sees her as the little sister we need to protect. That feeling especially applies to the female cast. The gang enters some ancient technological ruin that has no relevance at all. Some entity or bum says to leave now for I am the waymarker. Oh sweet, let's go kill him. We meet the bum and he's like, don't destroy this place because people consciousness live here. So the game is trying really hard to make us feel bad about destroying fractured dimensions. The characters do feel bad about deleting millions of lives, and the fact that we fight with someone from another dimension does add weight to it. He even said that other versions of us fight to save the dimensions, not knowing that they are the fractured ones themselves. But I just don't give a shit. Don't try to force me into feeling bad about something I have no attachment to. We gotta do what we gotta do. But the bum took Elle prisoner, so we rush in. This boss is pretty fun. You gotta be aware of your positioning. Not only his AoE attacks are pretty scary, but he can place electrical boxes around the arena. This is where you should use the chromatics as a failsafe to get out of really bad situations. We killed the bum and saved Elle. Luger comforts her during her fear episode.
Hey, I'm not a baby, you know. What you doing? Huh. Is that right? Sounds like glasses guy is pretty nice.
As I get older, I see how harsh the world can be and how cruel people are. To protect oneself, you gotta turn your heart into ice so you can tend to responsibilities and wake up the next day without worrying about the emotional baggage of the past. But when I see this scene of a guardian wanting to protect their loved ones and the younglings reciprocate that, it thaws the frost out. Now, we're about to enter the final act of the game. The story, the world, and even the premise of the game has been really weak. What you say doesn't matter, you collect friends and go on a scavenger hunt, and it's copy and paste left and right. This game lacks creativity compared to its predecessor. The lack of a linear story and the unimportance of the cast can really turn people off. So why did I find this to be one of the best and most memorable Taros games? Because the final act blew it out of the park, landed one home run after another. You know it's going to get real if we enter the next chapter called Xillia Maxwell. We're now unable to enter fractured dimensions due to Prime Xillia preventing us from going. She's trying to return, but the thing that's stopping her is fractured Xillia. Two of the same thing cannot exist in the same universe. So if our Xillia were to come back, the other one would have to fade out of existence. This leaves an existential dread on her. Truthfully, we didn't know Xillia for that long, so it's really hard to grow a bond with her compared to Prime Xillia, but she's still likable. The original cast always mentions their Xillia around her, even says things like, it's not the same. They were starting to grow to her, but we don't know how they really feel about her. Even Ju has a hard time connecting to her. Like hell, her only two character quests is just about cooking, and being Ju's quest didn't add much. I feel like she was written away for the cast and the players to not get too attached to her, because she's not our friend. She's Luger's and Elle's friend. Not knowing the original Xillia gives them an unbiased comparison and being able to connect with her more easily. She's a tsundere towards Luger and a bratty big sister towards Elle. Some people even prefer this Xillia over the original. Remember Exodus? Well, they want to be relevant again, so they hijacked the ship and took hostages. We board it and launch a secret assault. We save the hostages for their loot while Xillia starts to doubt herself every minute. Even pestering Ju about how he thinks of her. Ju says the most protagonist thing. You are Xillia and you're your own person.
You know what? Of all the Xillias, you're my favorite. Of course, I never met the other ones, so...
Are you trying to cheer me up?
No, I don't care. I just like your cooking and stuff. That's why I said it.
Fair enough. When this is all over, I'll make you a big pot of soup.
If you're gonna make it anyway, then sign me up.
You just know something's about to go wrong. We enter the main room and Rideau is waiting for us. He set this up and for some reason he has a chromatus. They never explain why, telling us that he knows a convenient ritual to summon Maxwell. As we try to fight him off, he overwhelms us and hangs Jude and Alvin to a pillar and uses Xillia as the sacrifice. Before she could fall into the abyss, Luca grabs her hand and holds on to her as best as he can. Elle picks up Xillia's sword and swings it at Rideau, trying to save her but to no avail. He threatens to kill Elle, but Luga can't let go of Xillia. She begs us to drop her to save Elle, but Elle cries at us to hold on.
Please! Look after Elle! I knew I wouldn't like you.
Now with Prime Xillia back, she asks Elle for her permission to use her sword. As you can see from here on, the quality of the story dramatically skyrockets. It's too bad that many people would have quit the game before reaching its heights. Can't really blame them. After defeating Rideau, he's like, I'm the villain, so I'm gonna make my escape. After saving the Chancellor, we return to the others with the news that Xillia is back. Everyone's happy to see her again. Everyone except for Elle, who hates her. Well, everyone got their Xillia back. Luga and Elle lost theirs. Even if Luga can't really speak, he comforts Elle, and yet he feels remorseful that he couldn't do anything. Xillia confronts Elle and promises to take her to the land of Canaan in the honor of the other Xillia. They need to get to Canaan because there's too many fractured dimensions and it's going to destroy our world, to put it simply. We're going to ask the Spirit Origin to erase all the fractured dimensions. But first, we gotta overcome his trial, which is to show that humans are worth saving. Honestly, this whole thing is pretty vague. Like, do we just present ourselves in front of Origin and say that we're worthy? I mean, we saved 2 worlds once, what more do they want? Xillia states that she is living off borrowed time and have to resolve everything before she's forced back to the spirit realm. Understandable. Let me do all the side content first. Clearly you have time for that. We don't need to catch her up and tell her who we are because apparently she's been watching us the whole time through some dimensional BS. She likes Luga and trusts her life to him already. Oddly enough, it's in character for everyone at this point. We have the location of the last waymarker. It will probably be the most difficult obstacle we will face so far. So let's make sure only the 5 of us go and pray that we won't need any backup. As we enter the fractured dimension, everything is the same as always until we are hit with a sudden tone shift. A merchant is furious at Rowan for impersonating this world Rowan who was murdered 8 years ago. Even though this world was fake, you can't help but be intrigued by this mystery. We learn that everyone also shared the same fate. Jude, Alvin, Elise, and Leia. We head to the lake where the bodies were dumped, and there, we find a house that doesn't exist in our dimension. It's revealed that this is Elle's home, and waiting for her is her father, Victor. The two finally reunites. He invites us in for dinner, knowing that we would be coming. After a big meal, Elle gets hit with food coma and Victor puts his little girl to sleep. Confronting him, we ask how much does he know. Victor is fully aware that this is a fractured dimension, and Elle is the key of Kresnik. All of Luger's power to manipulate time and space were actually hers. Beasley and Julius were going to take Elle away, but he stopped them, dreadfully admitting that he killed everyone for taking Beasley's side. Fractured dimensions aren't just what-if scenarios. They can also be a world that can take place in the past or future. The only people who are able to cross dimensions are those who are blessed by the power of Kronos, the Kresniks. Victor is fractured Luger. Elle goes outside to see what's going on. His reason to go to Kane is to make a wish to the spirit origin to reincarnate him and Elle into the prime dimension. Even if they become different people, they will still be together. They'll be a happy family again. But Elle refuses.
I don't want that! No!
It's mine!
So you lured Luger into this dimension to trade places with him.
Using your own daughter! Yes! I knew Elle would bring Luger to me! After all, I am the final way marker!
What kind of monster manipulates his own daughter like this?
What the hell do you know?! What in the... I killed my father and brother for this power!
When the plot twist was revealed, my jaw dropped. No wonder Luger and Elle has a natural affinity towards each other. They're father and daughter. The design decision to make Luger into a silent protagonist isn't just to be a self-insert, but to keep that reveal a secret. Although they could have found a way to work around it. As another version of you, he has all of your moves, including his chromatics, which you'll need to avoid fighting altogether. I still don't know why they thought it was a good idea to give bosses the ability to inflict 8 different status ailments. 2 or 3, that's fine, but holy shit, it can be too much to deal with. What makes this fight harder than it really is the fact that your whole party has short-range AoE healing, so they're going to try to heal next to you as you're getting your ass kicked. With one last stand against Victor, you finish him off. As Elle is crying over her dying father, we return to her dimension. Taking a rest at an inn, we see how much is all taking a toll on Luger, and cooking is what distracts his mind. Elle understands he had to protect her from her dad, but losing your best friend, your father, who you love more than anyone, and realizing that you shouldn't exist, is going to weigh heavy on you. The relationship between the two of them is strained. Now that we have gathered all 5 way markers, we arrange them to form a star that's clearly not shaped like one.
Hey, Luger? You and Daddy are like the same person, right? Do you not want me? Because I'm the fake Elle? Like Daddy didn't want me?
I think the probability of me being friends with someone who dislikes her when she isn't even that annoying is really low. A huge field forms in the sky with a fetus inside of it. That is the land of Canaan. Not surprised that the sacred land our character wants to go to ends up being a hellish nightmare. The gang is figuring out a way to get there, and the Chronos pop up with a beaten Julius telling us that it's not that simple. This asshole just hates humans for the sake of it. He sends out clocks and traps everyone in the sphere, but the 4 of us manage to dodge it, cause you know, only 4 people can participate in battle. We all strike him at once. It should be a fatal blow, but he reverses time to heal his wounds. The great spirit of time, Kronos. Unless you know the secret, he will keep turning back time to the start of the fight. He's about to finish us off, but Beasley just pops right out of nowhere and says that he knows how to get to Canaan, and everything will fall into his hands. Because he also has a Chromatus. Kronos launches towards Luger, but Julius tackles him to buy us some time. He finally did something for once. Elle doesn't want to go to Canaan anymore and runs away. She just needs some time to think. Beasley sends us to HQ if we want to know how to get to Canaan. From here on, it doesn't feel the same anymore. Nothing about the game changes, but Elle is permanently gone from the group. No more sassy battle quotes, no more waiting for the cats. You lose a lot of Luger's character without her. Her absence really leaves an impact, even if it doesn't affect gameplay at all. Entering Spirius, we were promoted to Vice President and all of our debts were wiped. Get ready for a lore dump. The primordial spirits Origin, Maxwell, and Kronos wanted to play a game to test the nature of humans because Spyrexes are evil. I hope you haven't forgotten about those. So Kronos gave the first Kresniks his power so they can abuse it and turn into a divergence catalyst, just like what Elle is becoming. Whoever makes it to Origin before 1 million catalysts or destroy is granted 1 wish. If not, then that's the end of humanity. Beasley's wife was the true key of Kresnik, but then she was killed in a fight against Kronos. The son, Julius, was upset and stumbled upon a woman who Beasley knocked up. He killed her but couldn't hurt the 5-year-old boy. He took him in and raised him as his brother. That boy was Luger. I should be surprised that the 2 are the sons of Beasley, but the fact that I had to look this all up on the wiki took the shock away and is kindly poorly told. I think there were some hints, but it's not clear. Elle is the new true key of Kresnik. She has the power to defeat Kronos. Beasley will use her to complete Origin's trial and wish for the spirits to succumb and be enslaved by humans. Again, don't trust a guy in a business suit. Now we're in a rush to save Elle, but Mila wants to test her resolve. Just when we're about to lose, Luger gained the power of the Chromatus back. Even though it's killing Elle, we're still going to use it whenever we can. Spirius is trying to stop us from leaving, but guys in music decides to be relevant and help us out. We're overwhelmed even though I'm 100% sure that 2 anime protagonists, 2 gods, and the God Slayer can take them all out in a flash. But hey, we need some obstructions. They take a different path, but someone needs to stay behind and be a distraction. You can either send Jude or Mila. I recommend sending Mila. She haven't left our party since she joined, and Jude needs more screen time. As the gang make their way through the facility, they run into Rideau and Ivor and beat the shit out of them. The thing is that Ivor is annoying, but he's not as bad as he was in the previous game. I mean, he got you cool weapons. Rideau, let's leave him for dead. We head back and Mila is fine. Julius somehow survives his fight with Kronos and wants to meet us to build a bridge to Canaan. A bridge that requires a sacrifice from a Kresnik. Now, Luger has to make an ultimatum. Kill his brother and save Elle, or refuse and let the world die. This is one of the 2 times where your choices actually matters. If you constantly refuse to build a bridge by using Julius, Luger starts to break down. Even the others beg you to let him go. There is no other way. Eventually, you are locked into the bad ending. Luger will protect his brother, even if it means the end of the world.
Wait! Luger, stop!
What?
Knock it off!
Release!
Why would you?
What have you done? Damn it!
This is truly your decision?
Okay, I gotta get this out the way first. I have to show someone else's footage because it's the only unfair fight in the game. It's a 1v8, they gang up on you, do too much damage, have elemental resistances, and of course, status ailments. I also had it set on easy, by the way. All I did was run around until I could use the chromatas, so just watch someone better than me destroy these guys. This bad ending wasn't really thought out. It wouldn't make sense for Luger to sacrifice his friends and his daughter, who he has been through thick and thin with, for someone who was about to die anyway. I get it's not canon, obviously, but I'm not going to lie, being the final boss is really cool, and I finally got to experience what it's like to be a JRPG villain who has to fight the heroes of light. After slaughtering everyone, Luger and Xillia goes fuck off and play some board games until they die. The right answer is to use him, not before the 1v1. I really wish they did more with Julius. Everything would have been more impactful if he wasn't just tossed into the sidelines. The two transform into the chromatas and have one last clash before being sent into another world. You head to your apartment to find Julius.
Not so fast.
You know I can't stand dressing up.
I hate how they tease us with a talking Luger. The brothers have one final recollection with each other. He gives you his pocket watch and then you thrust your lance into him. Returning to your dimension, everyone comforts you and is ready to go into the depth of hell with you. The bridge is built and now we can get to Canaan. We're at the endgame. Before we go save the world, let's talk about post-game shit. You know those elite monsters? Some mad scientists brought them back and you can fight power-up versions of them. There's also an EX dungeon where you can fight shadow versions of previous opponents, and it's a drag to get through because you have to do some tedious platforming crap and max out a character's affinity. Gaius and Rowan created some war golem in case there's conflict between the two worlds, but they went out of control so we have to stop them. Remember your debt? You can still pay it off, and if you do, you get the hot spring ending. I swear to you, with no exaggeration, it's the most disturbing fan service ending I have ever seen. The girls are soaking in the hot waters, having the most relaxing time of their lives, almost if all the problems in the world no longer exist. But where are the guys? The camera pans to an engorged Tipo, and inside of him are the guys, butt-ass naked being bored. They all start to panic when they realize they are being slowly digested. Slayer of gods and ruler of kingdoms were knocked down to food for a doll. For some fucking reason, some weirdo on the internet had the audacity to draw them having a gay-ass orgy in there. The game wants you to keep playing solely because they know that after this, the Tales series combat start to regress. I don't want to shit on the later entries, in fact I don't like comparing different games in general, unless it's for a point of reference. They're made by different people trying to bring in newcomers, but the problem is that the series eventually becomes very button mashy after this. Like I'm doing cool things without really trying, while this one and even past entries, you have to work to earn the privilege to call yourself good. The only other time I really talk like this is when I make statements about how modern fighting games are being aimed towards casuals and you start to lose player expression because of it. Look, I like to think I'm good at video games, at least on the single player side. There was a time I wanted to be a pro gamer, but after getting your ass kicked and comparing yourself to other people better than you, it was best for me to learn how to humble myself. Figuring out the combat and learning new things to improve my performance is what makes me want to come back. Before pulling off a link art, you get a silver or gold icon on you. Silver means a universal generic attack, while gold is a real unique team combo. There's a lot of combination I haven't seen before, like Rowan and Lair can stop time. Chronos got nothing on us mortals. They want the pace of the action to be smooth and help you understand that you don't need to be a master to have fun. But god damn it, watching people execute these cool ass combos makes me want to try to replicate it. Like, there's characters I'm too intimidated to touch, like Muse, Rowan, and Elise, and that's awesome, because it's like picking up a new character in a fighting game. There's a learning curve, but once understood, you'll make them into your own. This isn't just the best combat in the series, this is one of the best combat ever. I'll even go as far to say it almost rivals Devil May Cry 5, the best character action game ever made. The only thing holding it back is the power hit and resistance mechanic. Even then, skills will always triumph. Even though the combat is amazing, everything else does not make these games able to compete with others that's trying to grab your attention. Generic and lackluster stories, forgettable and copy-paste world, stiff and aged models, the soundtrack is serviceable at best. So why do I and many others love these games so much? Well, if it isn't obvious, it's the phenomenal characters. I was so happy to see that I'm not the only one who said that these are the best characters in the series. In fact, these band of goofballs are my favorite cast of all time. I love these guys more than the cast of BlazBlue, Persona 4, the Straw Hats, and to really sell it, each character in the Smash roster in their respective games combined. The way they interact with one another, how much they care about each other, how they have their own lives and goals and will always be there when things get tough. What can you do with your main cast from the previous game when their journey has already concluded? You follow up with what they do after. I always wonder what happened to the people you've grown attached to once the story is over. With Xillia 2, they have something called character quests, like I previously mentioned. They're side missions for you to help each of the cast with their problems. They're always in a pair, so don't expect anyone other than the two you're helping to join in. The pairs are Jude and Mila because it's fucking standard, Elvin and Leia, Rowan and Elise, Guys and Muse. Most of the quests are pretty good. Some of them are just, hey, let's talk for a little bit and you're done. And then there's the really bad ones. Let's start with our boy Jude. We get to watch this kid from being a bitch boy to a man who can change two worlds while hooking up with the goddess. Not knowing what he wanted to do in life, he just went with the flow. All that changed when the mysterious girl barged into his life and gave him the will to make his own choices. Now I wonder if he's still a virgin. After Mila gave the two worlds extra time, Jude promises to save them both by perfecting Spyrite. But talking is way easier than actually succeeding. You have to worry about budgets, the opinion of regular folks, and saving the world on top of that. Yeah, this guy is basically the chosen one. What's so funny is that both games' journey never revolved around him. Sure, he played a big part in them, but saving the world was Mila's duty. Now he has to change it. Can humans and spirits peacefully live in a symbiotic relationship? Well, Celsius came back angry at humanity who abused and controlled her, a resentment that was caused by the Olympians. But Jude is going to prove to her that people can change, and if he wants to find his answers, he'll have to understand the spirits first. He takes her to places to reminisce on her past and how she met a human who fell in love with her, which directly aligns with how he fell in love with the Lord of Spirits. He's lucky to have met the perfect person who gave him the push he needed, not through being pampered or being told by some dumb speech, but given the opportunity to carve his own path. I honestly feel like we can all relate to him, still trying to figure things out and just do what people tell us. Getting out of your comfort zone is scary, especially if it's unplanned. No pretty lady is going to suddenly appear and tell you what to do. As you can see, once you solve one problem, you have to face another. That's just a part of life, and how you deal with it is up to you. Jude found his answer and will be able to create a world where both humans and spirits can coexist. I mean, both of our Xillia 1 protagonists already do that perfectly. Oh boy, do I have a lot to say about Mila. I'll just get this out the way now. She's a Mary Sue. Everyone loves and respects her. Even her enemies always acknowledges her. She has very little if no flaws at all. She's the character everyone seeks for either guidance or purpose, has an alternate version of her to join your party, including Fracture Mila, the most relevant in the story and has the most character quests. Holy shit, in Rowan's final quest, she fills in for him. On top of all of that, she's beautiful. What's so amazing about Mila is that she's the only Mary Sue that I actually like. Everyone hates the trope. It's predictable and unrelatable. But the thing with Mila is that you can't relate to her. She's supposed to be the god of gods who was made to be a decoy to lure out a terrorist group. But during her journey, she learns how to be more human and caring towards the people she grew to adore. Her determination is what really stuck with me. She would take some really extreme measures to make sure her duty will be fulfilled. Honestly, to a fault. That's why they gave us Fracture Mila. Like I said earlier, she feels underdeveloped. What if the great Maxwell realizes she isn't who she thought she was and now serves no real purpose? A struggle our Mila would never have to face. Or so you would think. A lot of Mila quests is her trying to figure out her history. Like, why was she named after the first Kresnik? What I want to know is why her skirt is shorter, and do girls actually like wearing those? Mila loves humans, but I think it was a fascination rather than a bonding experience. She was cold and collective, and that all slowly started to change when she started to meet each member of the gang, especially Jude, who taught her compassion and directed her on the path she once lost. Even with the limited time she has, she'll use it to help her friends and fulfill her duty as Maxwell. Mila is a perfect character, and being perfect is a flaw. Honestly, I wouldn't change one thing about her. Mila is the series' first attempt at a female protagonist. She might not be the most compelling lead, but she walks so Velvet can soar. But that's a game I'll talk about another day. How do you redeem a man who lied to everyone and stabbed them in the back? There's no easy answer. Definitely can't happen overnight, but for some reason he was forgiven very easily. Alvin is still the most complex character, still having a bad habit of deceiving people, but if you're a businessman, I guess that's a useful skill. A majority of his quests are related to his business, and that's the boring part. It gets interesting when he has to face the man he was, fully aware that he hurted so many people, his family, his lover, and his friends. It's genius and not surprising that his quest partner is Leia, the person who he shot and ends up having the most chemistry with. It's really comforting to know that they all kept in contact with each other, instead of waiting for the next world crisis to happen so they can all gather together again and save the world. Leia legit been sending him Pepe memes. I'm both glad and worried about how the next generation might turn out. Alvin hated the man he was. In fact, I don't even think he knew who he was. When you have to put on so many faces and live different lives, you start to question, who are you really? In one of his quests, a fractured dimension has put us into the past, and it's revealed that he was engaged with Pressa. In a cruel twist of fate, her ring is the divergence catalyst. Alvin has to break her heart again. Past Alvin appears and now we're in trouble. I want to make an Among Us joke, but that's too damn stupid. Past Alvin accidentally shoots Pressa and is reminded Alvin why he hated himself so much. He was a selfish prick who only cared about himself. When he has his last moment with Pressa, for once, he can finally have closure in his life. You cannot ask for a better support system than the people who will not only forgive you for your wrongs, but help you get better. The past fucking sucks. Just think about all those times you could have done things differently. Well, guess what? It's pointless. All you can do is live in the now and cheer for the future. Unless you're addicted to fentanyl, you're just going to die under a bridge. Every time I look to my left and my right, everyone seems to have a bad childhood. The worst part about having those memories is that you're completely powerless to do anything about it. Elise had no family and friends. The only person that truly cared about her locked her away, and that caused her to demonize him, only finding comfort in her stuffed doll Tipo. Thankfully, she met some amazing people who became her new family. Leia was a big sister to her. That rubbed off and she wanted to be one for Elle. Maturity doesn't just come with age, it comes with experience. Sometimes, it can be really unfair. Elise may have matured, but she still has a lot to learn about the world. Like how she promised to spare a member of Exodus, but politicians do not negotiate with terrorists. Being so young, it's hard to grasp reality, especially if you don't know how you feel. When she learned the truth about Zhao, she began to see him under a different light. Not knowing what parents are like, she wished she could have seen him as a father and wished things could have been different. Elise doesn't get a real character arc, and for the most part that's fine. When you're writing a child character, it's honestly best to never have them figure it all out. There's always room for growth and improvement. Growing up sucks ass, but can be awesome. The sooner you realize how things don't always go your way, the easier it is to appreciate the things you have. And to Elise, that's her family. Growing old is one of many people's fears. Definitely mine. Not being able to do the things you once could do with ease due to you withering away. Before you leave the earth, what mark have you left on it? Rowan, now being the right-hand man of the king of Rieze Maxia, has to worry about politics, which is the fate of the elderly. The Olympians and Rieze Maxians are in a race war about how the two worlds will not be able to coexist, due to them thinking one is superior than the other, or how they're portrayed as monsters. But bridging that gap will take time. First, you gotta reconcile with the past, especially if you don't have a lot of future left. The whole fractured dimension concept is cheap, but it's a great way to give the characters some peace of mind, even if it's a little. Rowan getting to talk to Nocturgle again like old comrades put his heart at ease. He was always meant to serve to better a nation, but chose to run away. We were always taught that old people are wise, and since they're at the end of their lives, they have no regret, which is not true at all. Rowan showed that, yeah, some people go through their entire lives without figuring out who or what they are. Having Elise as his partner made sense. I mean, it would be better if it was Gaius, but it showed us that Rowan can still pass down his wisdom to the future generations to come. He can rest easy knowing that the fate of the world is in capable hands. I fucking love Leia. She has no relevance to either stories, and that's what encapsulates her character perfectly. While everyone was playing the hero, she was like, I wanna be one too. Her juvenile and caring nature is what attracts me to her. When she took care of Jude at his lowest and tried to empathize with Agria, it speaks volume about the person she is. Yeah, the whole "I'm only here for Jude" thing was really stupid, but hey, she needed some time to think about what she wanted to do and got into journalism. Her quests aren't amazing, and I don't know the first thing about journalism, except for the clickbait articles I see online. But hey, she found something she wants to do and want to get better at it. That's what I really adore about her. She's simple, but still wants to be here. She'll lift the party up when they're down. When she's down herself, she doesn't gloom for too long. Alvin definitely get his optimism from her. Honestly, she's the most down-to-earth character in the cast. I wouldn't like these games as much if it wasn't for her. And if I'm going to keep it real with you guys, she's kinda what I always wanted from a woman. You would think I'm into big titty baddie bitches, but I'm really not. A woman who I can enjoy talking to and not want to murder is good enough for me. Given free reign to do whatever we want sounds good, but if there's no objective or goal, what's the point? Miuse's whole existence is to take orders and follow it through, even massacring a bunch of people in cold blood so there's no one left to know about the schism. She even enjoyed watching people getting tortured and fighting each other. But once she was given a new purpose and role in her existence, she learned the errors of her ways. So her whole character quest is about redeeming her past actions and understanding the value of connections. That's what I want to say, but her quest is a bunch of cringe bullshit. It's just about her gaining the approval of the cast. I like Miuse, and her flirty attitude is fun. If they all ask, I genuinely think she'll be okay with getting gangbanged, but that's all she has going. Funny enough, she has more consideration for other people in Gaia's quest. This character has so much writing potential, but threw it all away to be turned into a gag. Like, I couldn't write anything deep about her even if I tried. A king should always lead and never give without a tenth of effort from those receiving. It's undeniable that Gaius is a strong man with the determination of not only leading his people, but anyone who's in need of guidance. Even with people who disagrees with him, he will not force his worldviews down other people's throat, but instead give them a chance to change their proposition. In the highest position of power, it's really hard to have a perspective of what it's like to be a civilian. To have a better understanding, he puts himself in their shoes, realizing that the thing he was missing out on his entire life is to have meaningful relationships. He met a group of delinquents and they didn't take too kindly for him for being a Rieze Maxian. To break down barriers, he has to show them that they aren't the monster they think they are, so he offers to be their friend. He doesn't know what that entirely means. The Chimeriads were the closest things to that. It's only now that he realized he only ever treated them like subjects rather than people he can connect to. Gaia's biggest flaw is that to achieve something he wants, he'll make sacrifices and won't stop anyone as long as it's their decision to make. Mila and Gaius are so much alike. Their duty comes first over their personal self-interest. By the end of the quest line, some dumb stuff happens, and even though being a political leader comes first, he realized that relationships comes and goes. You don't know how much you care about a person until they're gone. That's why it's both wholesome and fitting that Gaius drops his guard and is more open about who he is when he's speaking to the other characters. Not as retainers, but as loyal companions. When writing the script, I thought I could do the characters justice or else I cannot leave this world in peace, but I ran into some problems. How do I talk about them without giving them too much credit or making it too long and start rambling about irrelevant things? Then I remembered that not everything can be expressed through words or even through a video. At least not with my abilities at this time. My biggest regret from my new video is that I rarely, if at all, talk about how I feel about the characters. That's what makes a story for me. This game changed my perspective on stories forever. You can have the best written narrative with crazy plot twists and world building, but if the inhabitants of said narratives are weak, unlikable, or I give no shits for, then I don't care. What makes the Tales game my favorite series, and really JRPGs my favorite genre, is that you build a group of strangers traveling the world together and learn how to trust each other to the point of being a family. That sort of comfort is what I really need to escape from the negativity of the world. The two characters that really sell that are Luger and Nell. When I see these two together, you know heart went into them. Yeah, him being a silent protagonist holds him back, but he still has personality and interest. The best aspect of him is being protective of Elle and bonding with the cast. My heart actually skipped a beat when Elle admits that Luger brushes her hair. You wouldn't think he knows anything about doing female hair, but he naturally does it for her. Elle has her whole life changed in a flash. She's willing to sacrifice herself so Luger can live. but we know that's not what she really wants. She wants to enjoy her life with the new friends that she made and eat more L-style soup made by her dad. If Xillia 1 is about finding your path in life, Xillia 2 is about responsibility. Whether you ask for it or not, it's up to you with how you deal with the situation. Ludger is going to save Elle. So the gang enters the land of Canaan and is full of poisonous miasma. Mila uses the Great Fort to build a barrier around us so we can walk through the gas, but unsurprisingly, only 4 people can go. Gotta suck really hard to be left behind before the final battle for the fate of our existence. This dungeon actually tries to be different. By walking towards false platforms, you have to find a different route. This shit pisses me off so damn much. I kept running around in circles, falling for the same fake shit. There is nothing to help indicate that you've already been here. What's worse is that it's randomized. Why would they make something like this? It doesn't add anything, just frustration. Why would they do this before the climax of the story? After getting through that annoyance, Beasley, Kronos, and Elle are there. She's about to turn into a divergence catalyst. Now you have to stop Kronos so you can complete Origin's trial. He's going to reverse time again. The secret is to go into the Chromatus and cancel out his power. Now he's regretting blessing the Kresnik. Beasley barges in from the sky and stabs Kronos with the lance that crucifies him. Ludger holds Elle into his arms and tells her that he kept his promise. We're going to stop Beasley from sacrificing Elle to make his wish. He will not allow that and transform into his sick-ass Chromatus form. Tanking isn't a viable tactic since most of his punches are instant KOs. Final boss material right here. His power is overwhelming and knocks Ludger back. Beasley breaks her pocket watch, and with 2 things that cannot exist in the same universe, Elle's watch returns to her. She runs towards Ludger as he breaks free from Beasley's grip and runs towards her.
Curse you two!
Pact with the watch itself. This should be interesting.
Yo, I remember when I first played this. It got me so hyped. Ludger and Elle's journey is the embodiment of the franchise. Love, perseverance, and family. They wanted you to be in Ludger's shoes so you can see what he sees. A father who would fight his way through hell for his daughter. Defeating Beasley, he refuses to be a divergence catalyst and he ends up punching himself so hard that he dies. Ludger and Elle approach the giant counter and summon the Great Spirit Origin, who is just an incomplete texture. We have one wish, so again, our choice means something. It's either to destroy all the fractured dimensions or save Elle. If you choose to save her, she insists on being the divergence catalyst, so one day he will get to know the real Elle. My heart breaks just by saying that. Origin grants her wish and she disappears. Everything is so gloomy, like I made the wrong decision. Eventually, Ludger becomes the new CEO of Spirius, and as he's heading for a meeting, Vera informs him that the person he's meeting is a woman with the name Mel Marta, the same as Elle. He rushes there and sees her. Shedding a tear, he is going to make a baby with her. It's a bittersweet ending, but I don't like how I felt like I did something wrong. I mean, it was either me or the girl, and she doesn't belong in this world. But that's not how a father would think. Everyone admires a man who would give his own life for his offspring. Ludger is going to wish for the destruction of the fractured dimensions by turning himself into a divergence catalyst. Sometimes, the only thing more scary than death is losing someone to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. An eternal appreciation that was set by a child who was given a second chance at life. They all respect his decision. With humanity conclusion, Ludger's wish has been granted as Origin and Kronos seal themselves away. The gang says their farewell to Ludger, promising that the future in Elle will be in safe hands. She promised to eat her tomatoes and be a good girl. Luger sings one last song as the spirits return to their realm. He vanishes as Elle is no longer cursed by the Kresnik's fate.
Thank you for everything.
Many years have passed. Elle has grown and everyone moved on with their lives. Jude perfected Spyrite, Gaius and Rowan has brought the two nations together, Leia is publishing articles, Elvin, Elise, and Elle seems to be in business with each other. She's living the life that was given to her, and wears the same clothes as Luger to carry on his legacy.
Come on, Polo. We've got a job. All right. Let's go create a new world.
What can I really say about these two games? Of course, by themselves, they aren't anything special, but when you put them together as a package deal, you get to spend time with an outstanding set of characters that is complemented by an amazing combat system. I know the characters aren't the most complex or the most original, but god damn it are they the most lovable. You see, I used to have a problem with me using a lot of the runtime in my videos recapping the story. Yeah, I use my own piece here and there, but is it really worth justifying spending what little free time I have reading a storybook to people? I've been struggling with that question ever since I started doing videos. Then I look up coverage for these games and there really wasn't much on them. So I decided to make something I want to watch. I realized that not everyone is going to play the games I talk about. I don't play the games I watch people spend hours talking about, but it gives me an understanding. It's not the same as experiencing for yourself, because if I never play these games and someone tries to describe it like I did, I wouldn't fully understand, and that's no one's fault. It just means that it's up to me to discover something I will love, like these games. The hardest part about finishing this journey in this Goliath video is that I'm going to have to say goodbye to the friends I've made. They brought me comfort in my teen years, made me love the lockdown back in 2020 because I was one of the few people that wasn't negatively affected by it, and cope with the fact that friends will come and go, but the memories will stay. I mean, they're not real, and saying all that out loud is pretty sad, but that just means a bunch of drawings and pixels managed to remind me that a medium can have an influence. Hopefully, that influence can have a positive impact on the stories I will continue to tell, because Xillia 1 and 2 are tales worth telling. Whew, finally finished. This video took too long to make, even when I had to cut corners. Hope you don't mind the lack of fancy editing. It is a 2-hour video. That would be very exhausting, and I bet most of you are just listening to this at work. Like, subscribe, I genuinely don't care, because this is a hobby that I enjoy expressing my love for video games. I have 5 other scripts in the works, but it's gonna be a while before I finish those. My personal life comes first. Till next time or something.